Chapter 71, Demon Hot Spring. Roy felt very puzzled about the abyss. According to his understanding, if the abyss was on a planet, then the deeper the abyss, the closer to the world's core, the weaker the gravity should be. Although Roy had not been a top student, and his high school physics knowledge had long returned to his teachers, he still knew this reasoning. But the current situation was that the lower the abyss, the stronger the gravity he felt. This anti-scientific situation made Roy confused about what the abyss was. Was it on a planet, or was it in a separate space? Roy was doubtful but was not too caught up in it. If it was anti-science, then so be it. He did not expect to become a scientist among the demons anyway. After landing on the ground, the feeling from Roy's feet told him that the ground here was much hotter than in the upper abyss. Demons were resistant to heat, but the scorching sensation he felt when he stepped on the ground made him wonder if he should bring forward his plans to get armor or at least get himself a pair of boots. Roy's legs had forward joints, and his feet were animal-shaped ones with claws. When he was standing, his feet were almost all touching the ground, and the temperature he felt was naturally strong. Instead, it was demon hooves with hoof walls covering the toes that would adapt well in this environment. However, Roy had never thought about changing his feet because those demon hooves typically had reverse joint legs, and the reverse joint legs were more suitable for traveling at low postures, which was crawling. Compared to that, Roy preferred to stand and walk. In addition to the dimmer light and higher temperature, the most troublesome thing was the high gravity. Roy felt heavy all over, as though he had a load of hundreds of kilograms tied to him, and even his movements were a bit difficult. Of course, Roy knew that the high-gravity environment was beneficial for training his muscle strength. Once his body adapted to this heavier burden, the energy supply of his cells to his body would also increase, making Roy look forward to it. Therefore, the first thing he planned to do after entering the middle abyss was to adapt to the gravity here. During the next 4 hours, Roy did not rush to run far. He stayed where he was and stretched his limbs continuously, running with Fat Tiger, chasing each other. Fat Tiger seemed to be less affected by the high gravity here. Perhaps it was because he was a creature that walked on 4 legs, and his natural center of gravity was lower, allowing him to adapt quickly. While Roy was sighing, he suddenly found that his strength attribute had increased by 1 on the system interface. Huh? What's happening? Even if adapting to the high gravity environment can improve my physical strength, isn't this a little too fast? I've only been here for 4 hours. After careful study, Roy realized that it was unexpectedly due to the T-virus. Because he used the T-virus before, other than optimizing his cells, it had also provided him with the possibility of evolution. When the external environment changed drastically, the T-virus would stimulate his body's cells to adapt and evolve. Like this, Roy's strength attribute, which had stopped growing in the upper abyss, was improving once again. With the advantage of the T-virus, Roy adapted to the environment of the middle abyss at tens of times faster than other demons. If it were any other low-rank demon that had just entered here, it would not have been as fast as Roy. After discovering this, Roy felt fortunate. It was indeed the correct decision to have made this perfect T-virus. It was not without reason that middle-rank demons were stronger than low-rank demons. Even middle-rank demons not known for physical strength could still build strong bodies in such high gravity. Now that he was in the middle abyss, Roy did not dare to fly around. After all, this place was not the upper abyss, and he could encounter middle-rank demons at any time. Although Roy thought that if he relied on using bloodlust and the defense methods of the dark fruit, he would not have any issues against ordinary middle-rank demons, his main task now was to find a place of refinement, not fighting against middle-rank demons. His dark vision was already working, and the dim light all around no longer obstructed his vision. Roy began exploring with Fat Tiger. Without the inheritance of a demon's soul knowledge, Roy did not know what the so-called places of refinement looked like nor where they would be, so he could only explore by himself. At this moment, Roy felt that it would be great if he could meet other demons that came down from the upper abyss and were also looking for a place of refinement. This way, he could at least follow behind them and save a lot of trouble. As Roy continued moving forward, some middle-rank demons gradually appeared. The behavior of these middle-rank demons fighting in the wilderness did not differ much from the upper abyss. What was different was that their combat methods had changed. They were no longer relying solely on melee combat but began using magic power. Roy observed the fight between the 2 middle-rank demons from afar and found that flames were the most frequently used power among middle-rank demons. They either spewed flames from their mouths to burn their opponents or attached flames to their claws to fight. However, although the few middle-rank demons that Roy had observed knew how to use magic power to fight, their use of magic was still very shallow. At least, Roy did not see any fire magic like Zeron's fire explosion, meteor shower, and so on. When observing the fourth battle between middle-rank demons, Roy might have gotten too close, or maybe the middle-rank demon that won had a stronger sense of smell, leading to Roy being discovered. When the middle-rank demon ran toward Roy, Roy even thought that his first battle after entering the middle abyss was unavoidable. However, just as he was about to fight alongside Fat Tiger, he found the middle-rank demon had suddenly stopped a few meters away from him. This middle-rank demon was bigger and taller than Roy, and his appearance was strange. He had only a demon horn on the middle of his forehead, no wings on his back, and 4 arms. He seemed to be using magic power on his 4 arms, and they had blazing flames on them, looking rather majestic. After stopping, the demon sniffed, smelling Roy's scent, before revealing a look of disappointment. He used a rough voice and said to Roy, who was guarding against him, in the demon language, "Why, you went the wrong way. Place of refinement, over there." One of his 4 arms raised and pointed in a direction. After speaking, the demon left without looking back. There was no fighting? Roy was slightly astonished. Although he knew that middle-rank demons had higher intelligence than low-rank demons, he never thought that a demon would kindly give him directions. It seems like this middle abyss is different from what I imagined. Roy unconsciously waved his tail while thinking. When a middle-rank demon meets a low-rank demon, shouldn't he just charge up and bully him? Also, how does he know that I'm going to a place of refinement? Is it like this just for me or for all the low-rank demons that enter the middle abyss? With this doubt in mind, Roy turned around and went in the direction that the demon had pointed. Since the demon did not attack him, there was no point in deceiving him. The direction to the place of refinement should be right. After advancing for another 2 hours, Roy realized that the middle-rank demon must have had some reason for giving up on attacking him and giving him directions because Roy witnessed a fight between middle-rank demons and a low-rank demon. It was a low-rank demon, definitely. Roy could tell at a glance. This low-rank demon was fleeing desperately when Roy saw him, and behind him were 3 middle-rank demons. The low-rank demon did not manage to escape too far before being caught. The 3 middle-rank demons pushed him to the ground and cruelly ripped him into pieces. Then, in order to snatch the soul, the 3 middle-rank demons fought each other. This scene made Roy realize that it was not that middle-rank demons would not attack low-rank demons, but that the low-rank demon had some reason that caused middle-rank demons to attack him. With caution in his heart, Roy went around the 3 middle-rank demons and continued toward the place of refinement. Before long, Roy vaguely saw something in the distance. Roy could not care less as he flew up with Fat Tiger. After rushing forward, Roy finally saw what it looked like. It was a building. A typical demon-style building. Unlike the altar with the summoning formation, this building occupied a very large area. Roy found that the building looked like a huge stadium. No, to be precise, it looked a bit like ancient Rome's Colosseum. A black wall surrounded the main structure, and on the round wall were 6 openings. Each opening was a gate sculpted into a demon's head, and the big mouths of the demon heads were the entrances. On the other places of the wall were engraved demon runes shining with light. These runes were similar to those used in the summoning magic formation. Roy could see many middle-rank demons loitering around the building, but when they attempted to get close, they would be shot flying by a sudden burst of black light. It seemed to be a barrier. It was protecting the things within the wall. The enclosed center area looked empty except for a small pool. Although the light was very dim, Roy could clearly see that the water in the pool was purplish-red, like demon blood, and a few low-rank demons were soaking in it. Roy immediately understood that this was indeed a place of refinement. A place of refinement, also known as a demon hot spring. Chapter 72, Demon Race. The purplish-red pool water was constantly bubbling and steaming, seeming to be boiling. Dozens of low-rank demons were soaking in this pool, and from time to time, low-rank demons like Roy, who needed to promote, were rushing over. Roy had only been observing for a while before seeing several low-rank demons passing the entrance and entering the pool. The middle-rank demons lurking in the periphery did not stop them and let them enter. Moreover, seeing how the barrier blasted them away after they touched it, they seemed to want to go in again. Roy brought Fat Tiger slowly toward the place of refinement. In this process, Roy witnessed the promotion of some low-rank demons. After soaking in the pool, the bodies of the low-rank demons had more or less changed. Some of them had changed demon horns. The horns became thicker and twisted, and the originally relatively straight horns gradually curved into a circle, like the difference between a goat's horns and a sheep's horns. Some had changed their bodies, becoming smaller or larger. Some had massive changes. There could be a few more eyes on their faces, a few more arms, or a tail for those that originally did not have one. Roy even saw a smaller demon whose chest swelled up and grew out a pair of wings from its back, gradually changing from an unknown demon into a succubus. He did not know if this demon was originally male or female. It would be alright if it was a female, but if it was a male, then this change was huge. This was already not something cross-dressing could describe. This scene made Roy ponder. This place of refinement seemed to be awakening the bloodlines of demons. Roy was certain that the demon that became a succubus definitely had the bloodline of a succubus. The power in the pool would stimulate this bloodline, and then this demon turned into a succubus. Roy landed. Under the watchful gazes of the middle-rank demons around the periphery, he entered the place of refinement. However, he did not rush into the pool and chose to continue observing. He remembered that due to the demon wings on his back, other demons had always regarded him as having the bloodline of a high-ranked demon. Spider Queen Arania had said so before, and Zeron said the same later. But Roy had not figured out what race this so-called high-ranked demon was. Logically speaking, if you judged using wings, a demon race like the succubus should be high-ranked demons. However, the succubi Roy encountered in the Heroes of Might and Magic world were all middle-ranked demons, and Zeron, a demon without wings, was a high-ranked demon. Therefore, Roy was a little confused now. The difference between low-ranked demons and middle-ranked demons is very easy to understand. It's just if the bloodline has been refined. But what is the difference between middle-ranked demons and high-ranked demons? It couldn't be a second refinement, right? Roy was wrong about this. The so-called succubus, flame demon, deep abyss demon, and so on were just simple names. These names did not represent a type of demon. These terms were only derived from the characteristics of a demon's powers. For example, succubi were demons who were good at using charming methods, and flame demons were demons that were good at using flames. These demons either had strange methods or were powerful. When they appeared in various worlds, people were deeply wary of them, leaving deep impressions of them, so these people gave them special names to distinguish between them and other demons. However, such names did not completely represent a demon race. It did not mean that every succubus looked like a seductive female demon, nor that every flame demon had to have flames all over their bodies. Due to the bloodthirsty and warlike nature of demons, they rarely interacted with other races, so the outside races had always been puzzled about the demon race. Even if some wizards and scholars specialized in studying demons, attempted to summon and enslave them, and wanted to understand the situation of the abyss from the mouths of these demons, they would only obtain a smattering of knowledge in the end. Because of the complex bloodlines among demons, even they themselves would find it difficult to distinguish clearly, so how could they explain it to others? The social forms of demons were very complicated. Although they had the demon language and demon writing, these were only obtained from their inherited memories. In demon society, there were no schools and education system. After all, with their nature, they could not form any form of order. Of course, it did not mean that there was really no way to distinguish between demons. In fact, compared to low-rank and middle-rank demons, after reaching the level of high-rank demon, and as their intelligence constantly improved, there was a general way to differentiate between the ruling hierarchy of demons. These divisions were relatively simple. In general, there were 4 types of demons: war demons, elemental demons, trickery demons, and chaotic demons. War demons mainly referred to demons that used their bodies as their main fighting method. These demons were usually strong and large, and they were good at using cold weapons. The magic power in their demon hearts was not often used in the form of magic but instead attached to weapons, fists, and claws, bringing about powerful attack effects. Elemental demons, as the name suggested, were demons who were good at using elemental magic. Due to the environment of the abyss, the majority of them used the fire element, but there were also demons who could use other elemental magic such as the dark element, air element, earth element, and so on. However, these elemental magic were different from the magic used by humans and other races. Because some incantations were recited in the demon language, similar to dragon language magic, they were often called demonic spells. Regarding trickery demons, succubi could be classified into this category. It referred to demons who were good at using spiritual magic such as illusions, puppetry spells, and so on. As for the final chaotic demons, demons that could not be clearly classified into the above 3 fell into this category. For example, a demon that could use fire magic, was good at melee, and perhaps even knew some magic to fool the mind. This type of demon that knew everything was a chaotic demon. These 4 types covered almost all demons and did not distinguish simply between races. It could be considered the standard method of differentiating. As for the division between middle rank and high rank, after going through the promotion process of refining the bloodline, it basically depended on strength. Any middle rank demon who completed the refinement could become a high rank demon as long as they could survive long enough and accumulate enough magic power. However, the refinement of the bloodline was an important part. If the bloodline was pure, the probability of becoming a high-rank demon was naturally much greater. Therefore, when Zeron said that Roy had the bloodline of a high-rank demon, he actually meant that Roy's bloodline was relatively pure and had great potential. Chapter 73, I Don't Want to Become a Succubus. Roy was currently unaware of this. Even if he knew, he would probably be stupefied. Zeron was definitely fooled. Roy had photoshopped his demon wings, and it had nothing to do with the purity or impurity of his bloodline. On the contrary, in the system's evaluation, Roy's bloodline was very complex, and the system said that he had at least 4 different demon bloodlines. At least 4 meant that there might be more. 8 or even 16 were possible. How could such a bloodline be considered pure? After a while, Roy walked into the pool. The other low-rank demons refining their bloodlines in the pool did not interfere with each other. Roy initially thought that it was because they knew the rules here, but he realized that this was not the case when he entered the pool. The moment he entered the pool, Roy only felt an inexplicable fear creep into his body. This fear came from this purplish-red liquid. It was very viscous, not like water, but rather like real demon blood. It also contained very powerful energy, so powerful that every demon that entered the pool produced a feeling that they were incapable of resisting it, which transformed into a strong sense of fear. This was the real reason why all the demons in the pool stayed motionless. In the abyss, there had always been a legend spreading among demons about these places of refinement. Legend had it that the purplish-red liquid that made demons feel dread was actually the blood of demon kings. Blood that came from demons stronger and more terrifying than high-rank demons and even demon lords. It was the blood of demon kings. It was unknown whether this legend was true or not, but Roy felt a boundless force corroding his body when he was soaking in the liquid. This force quickly seeped into his skin and continuously rushed all over his body in a berserk manner. Under these circumstances, Roy's heart began to beat wildly, and the magic power stored within was being rapidly consumed. This situation surprised Roy. He could sense the danger brought by this force. He finally understood why low-rank demons needed to accumulate enough magic power before coming to a place of refinement. This force would drive the magic power of the demons to constantly stimulate their hearts and bodies. It was hard to imagine what outcome this process would lead to when their magic power was suddenly drained. Just as Roy was feeling a little nervous, a prompt came from the system. It is detected that an external force is trying to change the host's genes. It is possible that the force might cause the host's bloodline to evolve, but it may also lead to the evolution failing. Should it be intercepted? Roy was a little surprised, but then he understood. The customization system controlled his bloodline and genes. Otherwise, how could Roy achieve his modifications and additions? However, the liquid containing powerful energy seemed to have a similar effect, so the system noticed it. Possible failure? What do you mean? Roy asked the system. Because the host's demon bloodline is relatively complex, this force will stimulate a random bloodline, awakening it as the main bloodline. The system replied. This method has flaws and may conflict with other recessive bloodlines, causing the evolution to fail. Is that so? Roy pondered before asking the system, since you can stop it, does it mean that you can also control this power? Yes. The system replied affirmatively. The system can intervene in the evolution process after consuming a certain amount of souls. Hearing this answer, Roy felt relieved. He did not expect the system to have such a benefit. This was equivalent to minimizing the risk of his promotion. What are we waiting for? Roy immediately agreed to pay the souls and let the system intervene in his bloodline refinement. Soon, Roy felt the pool's powerful energy corroding his body turn from berserk to gentle, and the loss of his magic power began to slow down. At the same time, the system asked Roy, there are a total of 8 types of demon bloodlines in the host's bloodline. 4 of them are the succubus bloodline, rift demon bloodline, spider demon bloodline, and crawl demon bloodline. These are the recessive, thin bloodlines. The other 4 types are worm demon, shadow demon, frost demon, and snake demon. These are the dominant, thick bloodlines. Please select a bloodline as the direction of evolution. Roy was stunned. There are actually 8 bloodlines? Well, Roy could understand that he might have inherited these 8 bloodlines from the previous generations. That was beyond his control. But what the hell are these bloodlines? Spider demon? Crawl demon? Worm demon? Please tell me. Fuck, how can you slap my face like this? There's also the succubus bloodline. How can this bloodline be everywhere? Sure enough, succubi really get around in the demon world. Roy was speechless. Fortunately, the succubus bloodline belonged to the thin bloodlines in his body, and it was probably more difficult to evolve, so this would unlikely happen to Roy. Otherwise, Roy could not imagine himself taking a bath, and then it turned into a tragic event of him becoming a woman. No. I don't want to become a succubus. Roy roared inwardly and quickly asked the system, which of the 4 dominant bloodlines is closest to my current appearance? Frost demon. The system replied. The other demons are all non-humanoid. Frost demon? Roy breathed a sigh of relief. It was always better than becoming a worm or a snake. The appearances of most low-ranked demons were the combination of various bloodlines in their bodies. These bloodlines were in balance, but the outcome was that the magic power circuit could not be constructed. The awakening of the bloodline using the place of refinement was actually awakening a bloodline in the body as the dominant bloodline, causing the demons to show the unique characteristics of that bloodline. At the same time, it suppressed the power of the other bloodlines and broke the original balance. When a bloodline awakened, it meant that demons could use the special abilities of the bloodline. For example, if Roy chose the Frost demon bloodline, it meant that he would be able to use the unique Frost abilities of this type of demon after completing the refinement. He should be thankful that there was this Frost demon bloodline in his bloodlines. Otherwise, if he really had to choose succubus. After Roy's confirmation, the gentle and powerful energy in the water began to surge within his body. With the consumption of his magic power, Roy could feel a special magic circuit being built in his body. This magic circuit was just like the meridians in martial arts novels. When magic power flowed along these paths, it could immediately transform into a special elemental power. There was no need for gestures or chants to cast it. This was a demon spell that belonged to Frost demons. It was being built along with Roy's bloodline awakening. Chapter 74, The Transformation. Dark Cold. Just when Roy thought that there was nothing wrong with the bloodline refinement, a strange pain suddenly came. The liquid in the pool was clearly hot, but Roy felt a strong chill. The utterly chilling pain penetrated deep into his limbs and bones. He felt all his muscles convulsing and chill drilling into his bones. An unknown conflict has occurred. The system's voice came. Currently resolving. Please wait a moment. Please wait a moment. Roy did not know what happened, but judging from the chill in his body, something must have gone wrong when he was awakening his Frost demon bloodline. The system kept repeating please wait a moment, and Roy's stored souls were continuously being consumed, showing that it was working, so Roy could only close his eyes and endure the chilling pain while clenching his teeth and persevering. After some time, the chill within Roy's body slowly abated but seemingly not. His perception seemed to be numb from the long chill. Fortunately, a system prompt came at this moment. Bloodline evolution has been controlled and completed. Due to unknown conflicts happening halfway, there was an additional consumption of 216 souls. Host, please check the interface. Upon hearing the voice, Roy sighed in relief and opened his eyes. Nothing seemed to be out of the ordinary in the pool. The other demons that were awakening in the water stayed still, not affected at all, as though the intense chill from Roy's body just now was merely an illusion. What happened? Roy opened the system interface with some doubts and checked his status on the main page. Name, Roy. Race, Demon. Bloodline, Frost Demon. Demon name, Bakran Shamarir Lukdiran Stanlis Lundisha. Ramos Osiris. Form, Adult. Hierarchy, Lower Middle Rank. Attribute, Dark. Strength, 84. Speed, 62. Magic Energy, 409. Activity, 33. Loaded Materials, Demon Wings, Blade Tail, Dark Fruit, D-Virus. Skills, Bloodlust, Mock Flight, Flash, Teleport. Talent Ability 1, Soul Peer. Explanation: after living beings die, you can easily discover the location of their souls. Talent Ability 2, Demon Blood. Explanation: the demon race is bloodthirsty and warlike. It is very easy for you to go berserk whenever you enter combat. In addition, Demon Blood gives you better affinity with negative energies. Talent Ability 3, Soul Devouring Addiction. Explanation: It is in a demon's nature to devour and play with souls. It refers to the pleasure and ecstasy brought about through devouring souls. Talent Ability 4, Dark Cold. Explanation: a frost demon is a demon with an ice-cold bloodline, but during the process of bloodline refinement, the ice-cold bloodline and the dark elements in your body had unknown conflicts. This talent was born after the fusion. Talent Ability 5, Magic Power Virus. Explanation: during the fusion, a large number of T-viruses in your body seems to have fused as well. Items: Magic Energy Growth Potion, 7. Number of souls in possession, 79. Evaluation: although it was a personal customization, please be careful not to screw yourself. Looking at his 2 additional talent abilities and his attributes, Roy could not help but feel shocked. He finally understood what had happened just now. The cells of his body had changed when his frost demon bloodline awakened, but because Roy had used the T-virus and consumed the dark fruit before, these 2 things had changed his body's cells as well. Therefore, when the frost demon bloodline transformed his body, these 2 changes had conflicts. Roy only felt stunned. Roy had asked the system before, and the system had told him that complex body transformations could result in conflicts. Back then, Roy had warned himself to be cautious, but, to be honest, he just thought that he only needed to pay attention to the conflicts in attributes. For example, since his body was the dark attribute, he could not undergo any light attribute transformations. Who would have thought that there would be conflicts between his bloodline's ice attribute and the dark attribute? Moreover, the bloodline transformation had not been carried out through the system. Instead, Roy had done it according to the demon's evolutionary method. But who would have thought that such a transformation would conflict with the transformation done through the system? It was impossible to guard against. Fortunately, Roy had let the system intervene to control the bloodline awakening process, and the system faithfully fulfilled its task. When conflicts occurred, the system immediately controlled and resolved them, leading to Roy being all right. Of course, this was also because Roy had kept more than 300 souls in reserve. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unthinkable. Now, Roy's power of frost, the dark fruit, and the T-virus seemed to have integrated due to the system. Roy had 2 more talent abilities and finally got through that daunting experience without mishap. Dark Cold? Magic Power Virus? What do these 2 talents do? Roy opened his hands and looked at his body. Low-rank demons that had awakened their bloodlines were collectively known as middle-rank demons, and there would generally be some changes. Roy was no exception. However, he still looked the same. The only difference was his skin. Originally, Roy's skin was not much different from the other little demons, and they were all dark red. However, the color of his skin had completely changed to a dim dark blue. This color was indescribable. It was like the shadow in a piece of ice. Roy had not seen other frost demons, so he did not know if their skin color was like this. However, this skin color was undoubtedly related to the frost power in his body. Roy was already different from other demons by his skin color alone. What Roy did not know was that in the Abyss, frost demons were one of the rare elemental demons. The environment of the Abyss was always full of lava and flames, so the ice element was very thin, and it was more strenuous to display this magic power. Therefore, there were very few frost demons. But what was worth mentioning was that the power of frost demons had a restraining effect against most demons, especially flame demons. Frost demons could be said to be the natural enemy of flame demons. The usual skin color of frost demons was pure blue, with a sense of transparency, which was the color of the ice crystals. But Roy's frost power seemed to have changed a little, causing his skin color to be different from that of other frost demons. Not only had his skin color changed, but even Roy's demon aura had changed. If you were to look closely at his current aura, it would be sulfur and flames with darkness and coldness. The first 2 were the original aura of the Abyss, and the latter 2 were Roy's own aura. It was conflicting, but it made people shiver unconsciously. He did not expect such a massive change to happen when he advanced to middle-rank demon. If his previous modifications to himself were like a human changing their hairstyles, then he had gone for plastic surgery this time. This change made it difficult for even Roy to adapt. The dark red skin looked rather good after a long time, but now it seemed poisoned. Roy stood up from the water, stood beside the pool, and tried to let his magic energy flow into the circuit. The magic power circuit of the Frost Demon bloodline was different from the skills he created through the system. Those skills did not have magic power circuits, so Roy was using his own magic now. With a large amount of magic energy flowing, the surrounding temperature suddenly plummeted. The demons that were still in the midst of awakening started shivering. Afterward, under Roy's control, a visible cold current appeared in the air. It was a black, icy cold aura that looked quite strange. With the appearance of the cold aura, black snowflakes began condensing above the pool. These black snowflakes, which were originally steam from the pool, condensed immediately and slowly floated down due to Roy's cold aura. This scene was very strange. In the areas Roy's power affected, there was actually a black heavy snowfall. Some of the demons in the pool looked at the falling black snow in astonishment. They unconsciously stretched out their hands to catch the snow, and when the snow fell onto their hands, they felt their palms sink slightly. Does this snow actually have unimaginable weight? But it's clearly floating down so slowly. Before the demons understood what was going on, the snow fell on them without stopping. The black snow not only did not melt from the heat but instead attached to the demons. One or two snowflakes were not serious, but the demons began to feel their bodies becoming heavy as the accumulating snow weighing down on them gradually increased. After only a few moments, the demons in the pool felt as though they were carrying a stone weighing tens of kilograms. The demons wanted to escape from the range of the snowfall, but they suddenly remembered that they were in the midst of awakening. Once they moved before finishing, they would lose the supply of energy from the pool water and fail to awaken. So in their anger, they could only growl at Roy, the culprit. Roy had yet to understand what was going on at this time. The black snow also fell on him, but it had no effect on him at all, so he was very curious about what was happening to these demons. Black snow was undoubtedly the result of the dark cold talent. Roy's magic power output was still low, and the temperature of the cold aura was low. He could only make frost and not ice, so the effect of dark cold was not very obvious. The demons roared at Roy, wanting him to put away his magic power and leave quickly. But before they finished roaring, they noticed another thing that terrified them. After being stained with this black snow, they felt that they were losing the magic power within their bodies at a faster rate. This loss was not due to the construction of the magic power circuit during Bloodline Awakening, but it had vanished into thin air, as though something invisible was swallowing it. What's going on? Where did my magic power go? They screamed in horror, but upon hearing this, Roy's thoughts moved. Is this loss of magic power caused by the magic power virus talent? Chapter 75, No one could fight. Therefore, the scariest things in most cases were the ignorant novices. Although the demons of the abyss had always appeared chaotic and violent, in fact, they had some established rules. For example, no demon could go to the birthplaces on the surface in order to avoid disturbing the birth of the little demons. And there was also an established rule in these places of refinement. It did not matter whether your demon promotion was successful or not, but you could not use your powers in these places. Although this rule was limited to within the barrier, it had always been a beneficial rule that safeguarded the promotion of low-rank demons. It allowed low-rank demons to achieve their bloodline awakenings without interference, so the demons instinctively followed this rule. But now, Roy, this completely ignorant fellow, broke this rule. After his promotion, he actually experimented with the power he had obtained here. This was definitely a big mistake. In particular, the strange black frost and snow that he created could actually consume the demon's magic power after touching them. If the T-virus was just a drug that Roy had used to strengthen his body before, then after the T-virus integrated into his bloodline, it immediately became a powerful weapon. The mutated T-virus was fine in Roy's body. But this virus needed magic power to survive, so after being carried by the black snow, it would desperately consume magic power to provide nutrients for itself. And the source of this magic power was naturally the snow-covered creatures with magic power. Low-rank demons had a limit to the magic power in their bodies. Their magic power was for building a magic power circuit during their bloodline awakening, and the amount of magic power they had was already very tight. But Roy's magic power virus was consuming it, causing the demons who were promoting in the same batch as Roy to face a huge crisis. The magic power for building their circuits was not enough. Failure to construct a circuit was tantamount to failing their promotions. This cruel abyss would not give them a second chance for promotion. The middle-rank demons loitering outside the barrier were the so-called hunters. If they were still low-rank demons when they emerged from the barrier, then these hunters would tear them apart without hesitation and snatch their souls. The reason why that four-armed middle-rank demon had let Roy go was that Roy did not have the smell of the pool water in the place of refinement at the time. This meant that he had not soaked in the demon hot spring, so the four-armed middle-rank let Roy go and even pointed the way. After all, most middle-rank demons had come to be the same way, so they were more forgiving to demons seeking promotion. However, If he were still a low-ranked demon with the smell of the demon hot spring on him, it meant that he had failed his promotion. And in the middle abyss, only death awaited the defeated low-ranked demons. When the demons that were roaring at Roy realized that they would fail if they jumped out of the pool, they were overcome with despair. Even if they pushed off the black snow on them, the snow would still fall on them as long as Roy was testing his power. It was basically impossible to get rid. The promoted demons had already left the barrier, and there were tens of low-ranked demons remaining in the midst of promotion. Usually, low-ranked demons would submit to a middle-ranked demon like Roy, but in their desperation, the low-ranked demons could no longer suppress their violent nature. They jumped out of the water and attacked Roy. Failures would die, and those who broke the rules were also dead meat. Of course, Roy noticed the demons' intentions of attacking. He was initially apologetic toward these classmates. After all, his power had interfered with them, which was unexpected to him. But when he realized that the demons wanted to kill him, Roy immediately launched his retaliation. Fat Tiger, who had been guarding by the pool, jumped up at the same time. He covered Roy's side, and his three heads opened their mouths wide and sprayed flames, frost, and venom in a fan shape. The attack covered a very large area, and it hit several demons. Some of them caught fire and burned fiercely, while others were corroded by the freezing air and froze. Some of them were even sprayed by the venom and were rolling on the ground in pain. However, other demons were following close behind, so Fat Tiger charged forward and used his sharp claws and teeth to fight them. A demon went behind Fat Tiger and tried to grab his tail, but Fat Tiger's snake-like tail dodged its claws, and then the snake head bit its hand. The palm of the bitten demon immediately appeared abnormal. First, it felt numb, then stiffened, and then the entire palm became as heavy as a stone. This petrification effect not only appeared on its palm but also continuously spread up its arm. Although Fat Tiger was created with the appearance of a low-ranked demon hellhound, due to the can grow attribute Roy said in his continuous feeding, Fat Tiger's combat strength had long surpassed that of ordinary hellhounds. He did not lose out even when fighting against a few top low-ranked demons at the same time. While Fat Tiger blocked some of the approaching demons for Roy, Roy suddenly increased his magic power output, and the cold aura surrounding him immediately caused the temperature to drop. The reason why the power of frost demons restrained the majority of demons was that demons had always been living in blistering hot abyss. They had strong resistance to flames and high temperatures, but their resistance to frost and cold was weak. When Roy's cold black aura erupted, the demons at the front immediately froze, and ice appeared on their bodies. The lower temperature caused by Roy's frost power was related to his magic power output. The more the magic power output, the lower the temperature. When he tested it out earlier, his consumption of magic power was not too high, so only frost and snow had appeared. However, after increasing his magic power output, the surrounding temperature immediately fell drastically. What appeared on these demons was black ice. Such a color was something that the demons had never seen before. However, the freezing process was not complete. The demons found that this black ice was exceptionally heavy. Their frozen parts were constantly tightening and compressing, causing immense pain in their muscles and bones. Two of the demons could no longer hold on, and their stiff bodies were directly crushed onto the ground by the ice. This black ice was a strange power born from fusing with the dark fruit. The dark elements in the ice were not as corrosive as the dark elements in the conventional sense, but it had a strong gravitational effect. Be it snow or ice, when they came into contact with objects, they would produce a gravitational force that collapsed inward. The larger the contact area, the stronger the gravity, so a special weight would appear. When it was the black snow coming into contact with the demons, they only felt that they had a weight of tens of kilograms on them. But after the freezing, this weight instantly increased to hundreds or even thousands of kilograms. And this was just the result of freezing part of their bodies. If their entire bodies were frozen, then the extra weight would probably be in the tens of thousands. The weight might not necessarily be enough to crush these low-ranked demons. After all, the demons had very powerful muscles, but with the black ice continuously devouring their magic power, their demon hearts began to weaken. This magic power virus was an extremely terrifying blight for creatures with magic power. After devouring the creature's magic power, the magic power virus would attack the center of the creature's magic power storage and eventually cause its death due to the failure of the magic power organ. The best way to deal with this virus was to avoid coming into contact with Roy's cold aura. After all, the magic power virus was created with his frost power. Alternatively, after being infected, immediately cleanse your body with flames to kill this virus. But the problem was that these low-rank demons had already given up on their promotion and had not constructed their magic power circuits, so how could they use the power of flames? This led to a terrible outcome. Roy merely spread his cold aura out and killed 7 or 8 low-rank demons. Although middle-rank demons were extremely powerful compared to low-rank demons, it was very rare to have a crushing effect like Roy. He was only a lower middle-rank demon who had just completed his promotion. While fighting against these low-rank demons surrounding him, Roy gradually understood the strength of his new talents, Dark Frost and Magic Power Virus. They could be considered Roy's unique talents, and it was impossible for other Frost demons to have these talents like him. This made Roy realize that the gap between his style and that of other demons was becoming wider. Roy Beast has evolved. Dark Roy Beast could not get close. These low-rank demons could not even get close to Roy. Not a single one could resist Roy's cold aura with darkness and disease. Fat Tiger was not affected by Roy's cold aura and magic power virus. He killed a few low-rank demons in the battle, and Roy's cold aura solved the rest. All 3 of Fat Tiger's faces were at a loss after the battle. Weren't these people attacking Master? Why are they all lying down? Roy merely stood there and radiated his aura for a bit before all his classmates died. Roy finally experienced deeply what it meant to be lonely like snow. Chapter 76, The Demon in Charge of Punishment. He slowly withdrew his magic power, and the cold black aura around him dissipated as well. When Roy was about to store the souls of the killed demons, the pool water, which was originally only splashing and bubbling, suddenly rolled up and formed a vortex. This vortex had a strong suction force that actually sucked in the surrounding souls. All of this happened so unexpectedly quickly that Roy could not react, and it was already too late to try to get the souls back. At the same time, Roy felt a powerful force acting on him. It was the power of the barrier. Roy and Fat Tiger were repelled by the power of the barrier and were flung out of the place of refinement immediately. He was thrown out of one of the demon head gates, and the power dissipated the moment he emerged from the barrier. Even so, Roy and Fat Tiger fell to the ground. The middle-rank demons loitering around the periphery of the place of refinement looked at Roy and Fat Tiger with puzzled expressions, not knowing what was going on. But right at this moment, these middle-rank demons seemed to sense something, and they howled before fleeing in all directions. Roy had just climbed up from the ground when he saw the eyes of the demon gate that he flew out of glow red, as though the demon gate was alive. With the red light shining, a powerful force or will descended onto the demon gate. Roy felt the same power as he had from Zeron, so he knew that it was definitely the will of a high-rank demon that connected with the demon gate. Whoa! Look at what we have here. Another challenger has appeared. The demon gate said as it stared at Roy with red eyes. The demon's face gave off the feeling of sarcastic laughter. Your Excellency, you are? Knowing that the other party was a high-rank demon, Roy did not dare to be careless. Fortunately, he had practiced having false respect when he was with Zeron, so he showed a humble and puzzled expression. My name is Adra, a high-rank demon. The voice said. Servant of Demon Lord Rogeros. Kid, don't you know that it's forbidden to kill within the barrier of this place of refinement? I don't know, Your Excellency Adra, Roy replied. If they attack me, I can't just stand still and let them attack, right? Humph. I'm not interested in hearing these arguments. Idra said. In the past millions of years, many demons have been unable to restrain their killing nature and killed other demons within the barrier. If I had to listen to all their reasons, wouldn't I be exhausted? If you did it, you did it. I never care who is right. Okay. Roy sighed softly. So, Your Excellency Adra, did you come here to kill me for breaking the rule? While speaking, Roy was preparing to use Flash. However, Idra unexpectedly burst out laughing. Kill you? Why? Huh? Didn't you say that I broke the rule? Roy asked in puzzlement. Humph. The blood in the pool water of this place of refinement belongs to Lord Rogeros, and the Lord also sets the rules here. Idra said. You have indeed broken the Lord's rule. However, chaos and killing are rules of the demon world, so it can't be said that you're completely in the wrong. What do you mean? Roy was confused. What exactly is Idra trying to express? Damn it. You fellows who have just promoted from low-rank demons are so troublesome. Idra's voice slightly sounded impatient. Listen up. I'll only say it once. Don't you understand? After becoming a middle-rank demon, you should have the status you deserve. Unlike those ant-like low-rank demons, you become a qualified warrior after knowing how to use magic power. Therefore, in some things, you can get the chance you deserve. It's indeed forbidden to kill within the barrier of a place of refinement. Because if all demons do so, the number of middle-rank demons will greatly reduce. Idra continued. But it is the nature of demons to kill, so even the demon lord can't be too harsh. Since you survived the siege, it means that you were the strongest in the barrier at the time. Warriors deserve their due praise. Roy finally understood. Warriors deserve praise, so in contrast, being weak was the greatest sin. His meaning was clear. Although Roy broke the rule, did Idra need to get justice for the pathetic creatures that were killed? Impossible. Demons did not have any mercy in the first place, and there was no way they could have any sympathy for the weak. From the perspective of the ruling class, even though Roy had broken the rule, they preferred the brave who stood out above the rest. Because this meant that a powerful demon warrior was born. At this moment, Roy finally experienced the changes brought about after his promotion. In this abyss, there were no low-ranked demons. The rulers did not even have their eyes on low-ranked demons, but once they became middle-ranked demons, they would immediately receive importance. This was very obvious class discrimination. The more powerful a demon, the more power they had to violate the rules. And if you had enough power, you could even set the rules. Roy felt that he really should not use his human thinking to gauge the attitudes of demons toward certain things. I understand. Roy nodded. Your Excellency Idra, thank you for your regard. It's good that you understand. It seems like you aren't stupid. Idra's voice seemed very satisfied. A smarter demon saved him the trouble of wasting his breath. Warriors should obtain the rights they deserve. But this kind of behavior is not worthy of promoting after all, so you still have to receive punishment. Lord Rogeros has no time to care about these trivial matters. Thus, I hereby announce your punishment. You must carry out an execution mission. An execution mission? Yes. Execution mission. But the target of this sentence is not you. You are the executioner. You are to kill a target Lord Rogeros chose. Idra said. This task has a certain degree of difficulty because the target is often stronger than you. If you successfully execute the sentence, then when you return, Lord Rogeros will reward you properly. So, if I can't kill the target and get killed instead, it will be my punishment for breaking the rule. Is that right? Roy understood immediately. Yes. Idra said. Punishment and execution depend on whether or not you are truly strong. I hope you don't only know how to bully weak demons. A black ball of light appeared in front of Roy as Idra spoke. In the ball of light was a crystal the thickness of a thumb, and the crystal floated in front of Roy. Idra said, this is a memory crystal, and it has information about your target. You can read it after inputting magic power. Remember, you only have a year to complete the execution mission. After completing the mission, you can come here to find me. With that, the power of Idraz will gradually dissipated from the demon gate, and its red eyes slowly dimmed. Roy did not touch the memory crystal immediately but swayed his tail and started to ponder. He did not expect to encounter such a thing just after promoting to middle-rank demon. Roy noticed some information from Idraz's words. Demon lords were existences higher than high-rank demons. And these places of refinement seemed to have been built with the blood of demon lords. Different from their attitude of letting low-ranked demons do whatever they wanted in the upper abyss, these demon rulers seemed to consciously manage the middle abyss. However, this place was not the world where high-ranked demons and demon lords lived, so they could only execute their will through this way of having their power descend. Roy had just entered the middle abyss, and he was still unclear about many things. He had indeed broken a rule set by a demon lord, but in the eyes of the ruling class, it was still within acceptable range. After all, the demon lord who set up this place of refinement had specially made the barrier. After the pool water took the souls, he was immediately expelled out of the barrier. This meant that they had already expected this to happen, so he was merely punished. Of course, rules were divided into the tolerable and intolerable. If Roy had killed in a place where the little demons were born, he would have definitely been killed. This would have been absolutely intolerable. It was better to call this an opportunity rather than punishment because this mission wanted Roy to kill another demon as an executioner instead of other demons hunting him down. Idra did not even enter into a demon contract with Roy, and the time frame given was rather loose. If he could complete the mission, he would receive a reward. This model resembled a mercenary accepting a mission, and it looked like it was giving an opportunity and training Roy. It could not be said that Roy was the only one. From Idra's meaning, many demons had broken the rule in the place of refinement, so other demons might have also received the same treatment as Roy. This situation, in addition to the word warrior that Idra revealed, made Roy wonder if this was the demon lord training his army. The so-called lords meant that they had territory under their control, and generally speaking, there was only one lord per territory. Even human lords would fight each other, let alone demon lords. Therefore, Roy felt that the Middle Abyss was actually the source of soldiers for the demon lords. Chaos, massacre, war. TSK, such a world rhythm is indeed very troublesome. Don't tell me these demons are that bored? Roy shook his head, took the memory crystal floating in front of him, input his magic power, and decided to check what kind of mission target Adra had given him. Chapter 77, Betrayer. Under the stimulation of the magic power, the memory crystal glowed faintly before projecting an image. In the image was a half-humanoid demon. His lower body was on all fours, looking like some kind of beast. His upper body was humanoid, his 2 arms had 5 fingers, and his muscles were not that well developed, but what was strange was that this demon's head had no face, and his face was actually on his chest. At his chest muscles was his pair of eyes. The eyes looked big but also strange because the pupils in the eyeballs were actually horizontal. At first glance, these eyes with horizontal pupils looked like they were squinting, but they made him feel especially uncomfortable after looking at them for a while, feeling that the pupils were staring at him at all times. On his abdomen was a hideous mouth with sharp fangs protruding and interlacing. The color of these teeth was different from the skin of his abdomen, so it looked like this demon's entire abdomen had been cut in two. Just looking at his appearance, this demon was indeed quite scary. It was a typical monster-like demon. In addition to this image, there was also a recording in the demon language in the memory crystal. The owner of the voice was the high-rank demon Adra. Caesar, upper-middle rank demon with the illusion demon bloodline. Good at using illusion magic. He was originally a warrior under the command of demon Lord Rogeros, but he stole one of Lord Rogeros's demon artifacts, escaped, and hid in another world. Since we were unable to locate the world he is in, we couldn't cross worlds to hunt him down. But it doesn't matter. The repulsive force of that world will send him back. This memory crystal has another function, sensing Lord Rogeros's demon artifact. Once Caesar is expelled back to the abyss by the power of the world, the memory crystal will immediately inform you. Kill him and bring his faceless head and the demon artifact back. After hearing these details, Roy felt that his tail was about to become knotted. Why is this mission like this? Executing the target was easy. The level of upper middle rank was nothing more than having much higher magic power than Roy. Given some time, Roy could catch up by relying on the magic energy growth potions. However, this demon was actually an illusion demon, which meant that he was very good at deceiving and playing with illusions. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to steal something from a demon lord. Of course, he might have also taken advantage of when the demon lord was negligent. Unlike in the other worlds, in the abyss, demon and demon rarely signed demon contracts because there was no repulsive force. Moreover, it seemed like the contracts signed in the abyss could not take effect. The ruling demons relied on their powerful strength to control resources, and these resources could be the inheritance of demon knowledge, souls, or things that could strengthen demons, such as the demon blood in the pools of refinement. However, because there were no contracts, the low-level demons generally had to serve these rulers or fight for them to obtain these resources. This was the typical form of recruitment. Of course, there were very few loyal demons. Otherwise, there would not be traitors like Caesar, and there were quite a number of similar cases, not only happening to Lord Rogeros but also to other demon lords. In order to hunt down these rebels, the Abyss had given birth to a unique name, Execution Demon. Roy had no interest in understanding the specific details of Caesar's betrayal, but he could tell from this information that his execution target should be someone with relatively high intelligence. Strictly speaking, these shrewd demons were devils. These kinds of devils who knew how to use intellect were much more difficult to deal with than those demons who only knew how to rely blindly on brute strength. The most troublesome thing was that this guy was still hiding in another world. Now, Roy finally understood why Adra had given him a year to complete this mission. The gates of the abyss connects to so many worlds, so who the hell knows which world he's hiding in? Although Adra said in the memory crystal that the power of the world would expel him, did he not think about what if Caesar signed a demon contract with a summoner in the other world and then not fulfill it? Won't he be able to remain in that world for a long time and not return? How am I supposed to complete the mission then? No, that's not possible. Adra is a high-rank demon, and it's impossible for him to make this kind of common-sense mistake. Roy started wagging his tail unconsciously while thinking. Was my previous understanding wrong? Even if there is a demon contract, is there a time limit on how long a demon can stay in another world? And the longest amount doesn't exceed a certain limit? The more Roy thought about it, the more likely he felt it was. It was just as he thought. If a demon really could sign a demon contract with a summoner and rely on not fulfilling it to stay in another world for a long time, then the loophole in the demon contract was too big. According to Roy's experience in the Heroes of Might and Magic world, demons without a contract in the high magic world could rely on their magic power to resist the power of the world and stay for half a year to year. Thus, Roy estimated that even with a demon contract, demons could probably not stay in a world for more than 2 years. The more low magic a world was, the more likely this time would shorten. At that time, even if the demon and the summoner did not fulfill the contract, the power of the world would expel the demon. As for whether this would count as the demon failing to complete the contract or the summoner failing, Roy was not sure since he had never encountered such a situation. Roy guessed that Adra had given him a year because Caesar should have escaped for some time. Given his strength as a middle-rank demon, he would not dare to run to high magic worlds. High magic worlds usually had powerful races and characters, so a middle-rank demon had to be extremely careful in them. If he were Caesar, Roy felt that it was impossible for him to escape to such worlds. If he could not enter high magic worlds, then he could only go to middle magic worlds. Because if he wanted to prolong his stay in another world as long as possible, he could not choose a low magic world. The repulsive force in such worlds was too strong. If the longest he could stay in a middle magic world was half a year to 1.5 years, then he speculated that Caesar might have escaped for at most half a year. This would explain why Eldra had given him a year for the mission. However, the magic in the memory crystal could only track down Demon Lord Rohirrim's demon artifact. Without being able to track down Caesar himself, were they not worried that Caesar would quietly hide the demon artifact in the world he stayed and then secretly be expelled back to the abyss? If he were to return like this, Roy would not be able to track him down. Moreover, the so-called demon artifact should be a demon creation. Since it was a demon creation, it should have a soul fragment of the demon lord in it. Even if it crossed worlds, it was impossible for him not to sense even a little bit of his own soul fragment, right? When Gabriel sensed something wrong with his soul fragment, he could tear open space-time and descend forcefully. Even if the demon lord could not match up to the archangel, could he not even locate it? Unless the demon artifact was not created by Demon Lord Rogeros but snatched from another demon. Without his own soul fragment, he would certainly not be able to sense it. After sorting out all the situations that he could deduce from the information, Roy could not help but touch the demon horns on his head. No wonder Adra did not mention what would happen if he failed to meet the execution target. It seemed like Caesar would already be regarded as dead at that time. Within a year, Caesar would definitely be expelled. As for that demon artifact, it was likely it was exceptionally important to Caesar. Otherwise, he would not have taken the risk of offending a demon lord to steal it. When he was expelled back, he would most likely carry it with him and not leave it in another world. When demons returned to the abyss, there would be a cooling down period. This cooling down period was due to the residual force of the world repulsion still being in the demons' bodies, and it required the power of the abyss to neutralize it. Therefore, demons were unable to enter other worlds during this period. If he wanted to complete the mission, he had to find Caesar during this cooling down period. After understanding how he was going to complete this task, Roy casually drew a chain bracelet, put the crystal on the bracelet, and then hung it on his wrist. This way, when Caesar appeared in the abyss, the crystal would light up, and he would be able to discover it immediately. After accepting this mission, Roy would be unable to go to other worlds for at least a year since he had to pay attention to Caesar's return at all times. However, it did not matter. First, Roy had successfully become a middle-rank demon, and he needed to adapt to the situation in the middle abyss. Second, he felt that it was best to take advantage of this time to fight and take a look at middle-rank and high-rank demons. He wanted to see what the differences between demons of the same rank and different ranks were and how big they were so that when the time came to complete the execution mission, he would have the confidence to deal with Caesar. The best scenario would be for Roy to encounter other illusion demons in the middle abyss so that he could understand them better. Regarding this execution mission, Roy did not want it to become a punishment mission that ended up directing back at himself. He was also curious about the reward that Adra could give. As a servant of a demon lord and backed by the demon lord, he should have more resources than other high-ranked demons. Who knew what kind of reward he could give? Chapter 78, A Most Awkward and Unexpected Situation. The dark and dim abyss, without the sun and the moon rising and falling, led to the demon's perception of time becoming slow. Without realizing it, Roy had been in the middle abyss for a month, and he had gradually adapted to life here. He felt that the greatest difference between the middle abyss and the upper abyss was that there were fewer demons. They said that low-rank demons were cannon fodder. That's right. But what was cannon fodder? Many. Full. When Roy was exploring the upper abyss, he could almost see low-rank demons anywhere he went, and it felt super lively, but he had not seen such a scene in the middle abyss, and it was much sparser. This situation was, of course, normal. Only through the survival of the fittest could low-rank demons promote to middle-rank demons, and the number would definitely decrease. Judging from this, there would also definitely be fewer high-rank demons than middle-rank demons. Such a class pyramid seemed to be the same regardless of race. Due to the decrease in numbers, middle-rank demons killing each other did not happen that frequently. Perhaps because of the bloodline awakening, it even went to the extent that some demons of the same type would avoid fighting each other as much as possible after meeting. This reminded Roy of the high-rank demons Xeron and Ignatius. Although they fought and schemed against each other, they could also cooperate and formulate strategies for war. The higher the rank, the fewer the demons, so they gradually began to treasure their own kind. It seemed like this bloodline view should have started from when they became middle-rank demons. Killing between the same race reduced, but middle-rank demons also needed to devour souls to strengthen their magic power, so what should they do? It had to be mentioned that many monsters were also living in the middle abyss. While these monsters could still hunt low-rank demons in the upper abyss and had the possibility of becoming a true demon, unfortunately, the strength of middle-rank demons and low-rank demons were not on the same level. After knowing how to use magic power, the combat strength of middle-rank demons increased greatly, and they were no longer targets that monsters could defeat easily. Therefore, these monsters could only live in groups and rely on cohesion to win space for survival. As soon as these monster groups appeared, it meant that middle-rank demons had a fixed source for souls. As a result, middle-rank demons also developed territorial awareness. They would choose to live in groups where monsters lived and then stay there for a long time to hunt these monsters and devour their souls. In this way, the monsters began to become existences resembling livestock. The only difference was that the middle-rank demons did not tame them and simply let them breed. Roy had seen quite a number of such situations during this time, so he felt it was strange to say that demons were chaotic and without order. These words did not seem right. Was this ecology not just like a primitive society and a type of order? In fact, Roy was right. If every level of the abyss were like the upper level, where low-rank demons killed each other, then it would be impossible for the demon race to multiply. Demons were also a race, and social forms would appear as long as they were a race. As the hierarchy progressed, there would always be order. Even beasts without intelligence would have certain habits, let alone intelligent life with language and inheritances like demons. Therefore, although humans and other races viewed demons as a chaotic and evil group, it was actually caused by the other races not understanding demons in depth. Moreover, were chaos and evil not also a form of order? Although middle-rank demons could hunt monsters to obtain souls, the souls of monsters were not delicious to them. After all, the souls of monsters could only be regarded as the spirits of wild beasts. Those with low spiritual wisdom had far less negative emotions in their souls. Roy had tasted a soul before, so he naturally knew that the more negative emotions there were, the more alluring the souls were to demons. The souls of these monsters were only enough to satisfy the needs of middle-rank demons. After consuming monster souls for a long time, middle-rank demons would generally become more and more temperamental. This was a unique illness for demons because monster souls could not meet the growth requirements of their magic power. It could be seen as a malnutrition disorder. After these symptoms occurred, they would invade the territories of other demons and fight them. The winner would devour the other's soul, thereby alleviating their malnutrition. Fighting among the middle-rank demons mostly happened under these circumstances. However, the souls of demons could not alleviate their malnutrition most of the time. This was due to the nature of demons. Even if the intelligence of middle-rank demons had improved a lot, because of the living environment here, many of them were accustomed to killing, and their fear of death and injury was relatively low. Thus, the negative emotions were relatively low, and the nourishment of magic power was not much better. Therefore, another solution for middle-rank demons was that they would actively seek to go to other worlds to hunt other intelligent creatures to obtain better souls. When low-rank demons went to other worlds, they were lured by offerings most of the time, which could be regarded as passive behavior. But middle-rank demons took the initiative to head to other worlds. What kind of situation did this lead to? Around the altars of the gates of the abyss built in the middle abyss, there were often many middle-rank demons waiting there. This was a huge difference compared to the situation where there were low numbers of low-rank demons near the altars in the upper abyss. Moreover, these middle-ranked demons did not enter the gates of the abyss one by one. Sometimes, they would swarm into a gate of the abyss at the same time. Why was it like this? There was only one explanation: a summoner with a lot of magic power opened a gate of the abyss to summon for war. Only a massive amount of magic power could accommodate so many demons at once. As for summoners, needless to say, most of them were high-ranked demons like Xeron or demon sorcerers, or maybe even the stronger demon lords. Roy could understand why demons were so enthusiastic about waging wars in other worlds. Middle-ranked demons have considerably more numbers compared to high-ranked demons, and compared to low-ranked demons, they had magic power and better combat power. So no matter how you looked at it, middle-ranked demons were the core warriors of the demons. Of course, some middle-ranked demons might not be able to participate in battle and might even become the mounts of high-ranked demons, for example, those nightmare horses. But no matter what, the summoned middle-ranked demons could more or less obtain some souls. The quality and taste of the souls of the intelligent creatures in other worlds were worlds better. Roy did not have such symptoms for now because Roy had Daddy Systems protection. He had long quit his soul-devouring addiction with the help of magic energy growth potions. Even if he required 3 or 4 monster souls to extract some magic power, Roy could still improve his magic energy as long as there were enough, and he would not become crazy with desire like other demons. He now occupied territory. There were still many monsters living here, and it was still enough to satisfy his needs. However, as long as Roy wanted to evolve, sooner or later, he would have to participate in external wars like the other middle-ranked demons because he could not possibly seize the territories of all the other middle-ranked demons. If the territory was too big, he and Fat Tiger would not be able to take care of it. He was not a true demon lord and did not have the overwhelming strength to make other demons submit to him and manage it for him. It was possible to create loyal subordinates through the system, but the premise was to have souls with the holy attribute or evil attribute. During this month, although Roy had been paying attention to his execution mission, he had yet to find any other illusion demons. It seemed that illusion demons were also a rare race in the abyss. Therefore, while he temporarily had no means to understand his opponent, Roy could only increase his magic energy attribute first. He even stopped feeding Fat Tiger souls, and all the souls he obtained were for strengthening his magic power. During the process of continuously using his magic power, Roy discovered one thing: after the bloodline awakening, if he frequently used the magic power circuit in his body, he could actually continue to expand the nodes and even further purify his demon bloodline at the same time. Roy's current magic power circuit was built from about 36 nodes, and with his heart as the source, it extended throughout his entire chest. However, the number of these nodes was not fixed. Roy had been constantly familiarizing himself with the Dark Frost magic power this month, and now there was vaguely another node. Roy felt that the more nodes there were, the faster the magic power would flow in the circuit, and the stronger the magic formed at the same time. And because this magic power circuit was the magic power circuit unique to Frost demons, the more magic power circuit nodes there were, the purer the Frost demon bloodline. Roy believed that this should be the real way for middle-ranked demons to become high-ranked demons. When their magic power grew to the point of purifying their bloodlines into pure-blooded demons, they could be called high-ranked demons. However, the repeated use of the magic power circuit needed Roy to have the support of the corresponding amount of magic power. So during this month, Roy had been increasing his magic energy attribute. The higher the magic energy attribute, the longer he could use the magic power circuit, and the faster the magic power would recover. Of course, in consideration that as time passed, the chance of his mission target, Caesar, being expelled back would increase, Roy intended to increase his magic energy attribute to 500 and then store the souls he obtained in preparation for emergencies. Just when Roy thought his repetitious hunting life would continue for a long time, an unexpected situation happened. On the 42nd day of his arrival in the Middle Abyss, the purple moon on the surface suddenly glowed again, indicating that a new round of the demon mating season had come. Chapter 79, I'll let you guys off today. At first, Roy did not know what was happening. He only felt that something had happened to his body overnight, and he was in a very agitated state. However, this agitation was not the same as the mania malnutrition caused. When Roy checked his status in the system interface, there were no abnormal prompts. However, some scenes popped up in Roy's mind uncontrollably. These scenes were actually from some of the action movies he had seen in his previous life. These scenes were very scattered, but they intertwined in his mind, making him feel his blood surge. Damn it, what the hell is going on? Roy was very vigilant and felt that this was not normal. Roy looked at Fat Tiger and found that Fat Tiger was not acting strangely. He thought that it was merely his problem, so he quickly thought about whether he had eaten anything that should not be eaten yesterday. Fat Tiger suddenly stood up, shut his mouth, sniffed, and then called out to Roy, signaling that a demon had intruded onto his territory. Roy could only put it aside for the time being and decided to expel the intruder first under Fat Tiger's lead. Roy's territory was not big, about 2 square kilometers. Within this area, there was a group of monsters known as fire salamanders, about 1,000 of them. Roy was a frost demon, and it was very easy for him to deal with these lizards that breathe flames, so he regarded them as his usual source of souls and food. Fat Tiger used his urine to circle the range of where these lizards lived, and it became Roy's territory. The area of 2 square kilometers was neither too big nor too small, so other middle-rank demons often appeared. Fat Tiger's sense of smell was very sensitive, and he could smell these intruders from afar. Usually, if the intruding middle-rank demons were just passing by and did not linger around, Fat Tiger would not warn Roy. However, if the other party stayed too long or had the smell of blood from the fire salamanders, it meant that the intruder was moving Roy's interests. Roy then had to check if he should expel or kill the other party as appropriate. When Roy brought Fat Tiger to find this intruder, Roy found that the intruder was a snake demon. The so-called snake demons of the abyss did not have the image of the legendary Medusa but were real snakes with demon horns. This demon was about the size of an anaconda and had no limbs. It moved along the ground, but it also had a pair of demon wings and could fly. There were not many of this kind of demon in the Middle Abyss, but Roy had seen a few during this month and knew that it was a true demon and not a monster. When Roy found this snake demon, he found it sitting on a rock in his territory. Its lower body was in a circle, its upper body was arched up with its demon wings spread behind it, and its head was raised while hissing. "Get out! This is my hunting range." Roy was feeling irritated, so he immediately shouted in the demon language upon seeing the snake demon. However, the snake demon looked at Roy without saying anything. It stretched out its tongue, searching for something in the air. Seeing how this fellow was being silent, Roy thought that it was coveting his territory, so he could not help but release his magic power to prepare to expel it by force. The dark frost aura spread out immediately, and the temperature in the air dropped sharply. The ground around them was covered with a layer of pitch-black frost, and there was a crackling sound from the contraction and collapse. Fat Tiger leaned forward and watched the snake demon with a threatening growl. However, at this moment, the snake demon suddenly spoke, using demon language to say, "Very unique. Magic power. You. Very powerful." While speaking, it supported its tail on the ground and stood up straight. Its entire body began to sway back and forth non-stop, and it did not do anything else. It just stood on the rock and wriggled at Roy. Roy did not sense any murderous intentions from the snake demon, and he was curious about what it wanted to do, so he could not help but stare at it for a while. After looking at it for a while, he actually thought this snake demon's wriggling was strangely beautiful. How should he put it? It felt rather seductive. Shit. Why am I feeling that a snake is seductive? What's wrong with me? Am I going crazy? Roy rubbed his eyes hard and pulled his cheeks to calm down and then asked, "What are you doing?" "Come and make a little demon with me," the snake demon said. "Your magic power is very strong, and you have a good bloodline. You will definitely be able to produce a powerful demon egg." What? What the FCK? Roy felt a thunderous rumbling in his brain after hearing this. "Do you want to come from the front or from behind?" The eyes of the snake demon became somewhat blurry. Its body shook, exposing its tail, seemingly adjusting its posture. Wait. Roy quickly said. "Why, you are a female demon?" "Yes, can't you tell?" the snake demon replied. "How the hell am I supposed to tell? Who can tell me what the hell is going on? Why am I being courted by a snake? I'm not Shu Shen." This was Roy's first time encountering such a situation since entering the abyss. He had encountered demons fighting in the past, but he had never seen someone want to make a little demon with him. "Get lost. Get out of my sight right now." Roy felt humiliated and angry. His magic power output increased in his anger, causing his furious cold aura to surge out frantically. "Aren't you willing? What a pity." The snake demon sounded disappointed, so it turned its head to look at Fat Tiger by Roy's feet. The snake demon found Fat Tiger's aura strange. Fat Tiger was not a demon, but he had been by Roy's side all along and had a little bit of Roy's demonic aura around him. Therefore, some of the demons that saw Fat Tiger often felt that Fat Tiger was unusual, but once they saw his three-headed hellhound appearance, they would not be too doubtful. The current situation was that the snake demon was now setting its sights on Fat Tiger after seeing that Roy was unwilling. Fat Tiger could not help but shiver when he saw the snake demon's eyes. He whimpered and hid behind Roy while trembling. He felt that this snake demon's eyes looked strange and a little scary. Seeing Fat Tiger being frightened, the snake demon was even more regretful. It could only flap its wings, fly off the rock, and head toward other places. Seeing the snake demon leave, Roy heaved a sigh of relief. In a fight, he would not be afraid of this snake demon. But the problem was that Roy felt awkward when he thought about how this snake demon came to court him. He did not know how to deal with this situation. If it were a beautiful woman asking him so directly, Roy might have already pounced, but the other party was a snake. Even if it was a middle-rank demon, it was still a snake. It would also be difficult to kill this snake demon, so seeing it leave on its own, Roy felt that it was for the best like this. However, what Roy did not expect was that this incident was not coincidental. In the following hours, he encountered similar events. And not only two of them. It was as though the demons in the Middle Abyss had all started moving around on this day, and they were each visiting the territories of other demons. Roy did not know if the other levels of the Abyss were like this, but in the Middle Abyss, this day seemed to be a festival. Roy's territory welcomed more than 100 middle-rank demons passing by. These middle-rank demons passing by were strong and weak, male and female. Most male demons left directly after seeing Roy. The female demons chose to stay after seeing him, especially after sensing Roy's unique Dark Frost magic power. These female demons only had one common topic. Come and make a little demon. Although Roy's magic power was not too strong, and his strength was only at the lower middle rank, the female demons did not care that much. They were very interested in Roy's unique magic power aura, thinking that he definitely had a strong bloodline, so they all seductively displayed their charms in front of Roy, attempting to seduce him into pushing them down. Facing this situation, Roy was slightly desperate. He finally understood what was going on and knew what the agitation in his body was all about. However, knowing was one thing, and accepting it was another. Roy was not fake. He knew that since he had reincarnated into a demon, he would encounter these kinds of problems sooner or later. He did not expect to be able to find a human to have children with him, but the problem was, look at these demon neighbors passing by his territory. Snake demon, spider demon, worm demon, nightmare demon. None of his neighbors looked slightly humanoid. In this situation, even an old driver could not start the car. His body was throbbing, but Roy's great expandable baton did not have any good place to show its might. Where are the succubi and fallen angels? Roy felt that even if he had to succumb to his body's hormones, he should at least find these two types of life forms that fit his aesthetics. But what he did not know was that the succubi were busy, so where would they have the time to pass by Roy's territory? As for the fallen angels, they were only in the abyss where the high-level demons were staying. Helpless, Roy could only hide in his dwelling with Fat Tiger obediently. He used the system to make a bottle of sedatives and no longer went out. If you want to enter my territory, go ahead. I'll let you guys off today. Chapter 80, finally starting with his double ability. The courtship period of the demons lasted for about 10 days before ending. During these 10 days, Roy could often hear loud and low voices coming from afar. These voices were not like the usual roaring and bellowing of demons when they fought, but a kind of joyful voice with a sense of triumph. As for whether these voices came from male or female demons, Roy had no intention of studying it. Roy avoided this period firmly. It was not that he was hypocritical and reluctant to enter the countryside to follow the local customs. But apart from the differences in aesthetic sense, Roy could also feel that the arrival of the demon's courtship period seemed to be under the control of some force. How could there be such a coincidence that caused all the demons in the entire abyss to start courting at the same time? Moreover, how could all of them be affected regardless of race? Roy felt that it did not seem like a law of nature at all. There were many things that Roy did not know about the demons in the abyss. If it really was a law of nature, then it did not matter if he complied with it, but if some kind of force was affecting the demons, this feeling would not be too comfortable. To this end, Roy did some research as well. He stopped some demons passing by his territory, asked them some questions, and got some information. He learned that when the courtship period came, the purple moon on the surface of the abyss, which he had seen when he was born, would shine more intensely than usual. In the abyss, there was no sun, and this purple moon was constantly shining on the abyss. In addition to emitting strong light during this courtship period, it also had the effect of expediting having demon eggs. Therefore, in the abyss, the demons had always firmly believed that this round purple moon was one of the 7 great demon kings, an incarnation of Asmodeus's power. Asmodeus was the great demon king in control of the power of lust in the legends of the humans and other races. But in the abyss, the demons believed that he was in charge of birth and reproduction. No demon had truly seen the great demon king before, and it was said that the great demon king lived at the bottom of the abyss. All demon kings and even some demon lords were hard to see. These legends were passed down from generations of demons with high intelligence, devils, and it was unknown if they were true. Even if the demons were considered to be courting each other, they went their separate ways after the ecstasy, and it was impossible for there to be true couples. The male demons were almost completely drained dry during these 10 days. Their task was to spread their demon bloodlines everywhere. In this process, be it using their own strength to attract the female demons or directly forcing themselves on the female demons, they were responsible for the task of being seed-sowing machines. Meanwhile, the female demons gathered together and moved around after the 10-day courtship period ended. Roy was curious, so he flew in the air and followed these female demons to have a look. He found that the purpose of these female demons gathering and moving around was to find a water source. Yes, there were water sources in the abyss, but very few. Such water sources were typically underground rivers and the like. Roy discovered that after they found these underground rivers, they would put the demon eggs they laid into these dark rivers and let the water flow bring the demon eggs away. Recalling the situation at his birthplace, Roy immediately understood that these underground rivers of the abyss were likely connected to the ocean. The current would bring the demon eggs into the ocean before they eventually drifted to the surface, and the tide would push them onto the islands on the surface, which were the birthplaces. This was the entire birth process of demons. The reason why the demon eggs were sent to the surface in this way was that after demons promoted in the lower levels of the abyss, they could no longer return to the upper abyss. This was because the connecting paths, which were in the fissures, had a powerful barrier. The female demons laid a very large number of demon eggs, but Roy did not see the birth of a baby. It seemed to be because the bloodlines of middle-rank demons were not pure enough. When they were floating to the ocean, these demon eggs would encounter many difficulties. Perhaps an abnormal ocean current would cause the demon eggs to collide against a rock and shatter immediately. There were so many demon eggs, but who knew how many would die along the way? From this point of view, it seemed like survival was not easy for demons. Being born smoothly was already a feat that required extreme luck. It was no wonder why demons were born stronger. Roy also noticed that demons seemed to be living in the underground rivers. During his observation, Roy saw huge shadows under the surface of the water more than once. These creatures did not attack the demon eggs, so Roy guessed that they might also be demons. They could be sea demons. However, due to the different living environments, these sea demons and the abyss demons were likely to have huge differences. Although Roy had not seen any with his own eyes, he felt that they were not on the same level just by looking at the massive shadows. The largest demon Roy had seen was the mammoth-like Jaskelos, who stood about 8 meters tall, and the shadows in the dark underground rivers all looked to be over 10 meters long. He did not know if these sea demons could be summoned to other worlds like the abyss demons. If they could be summoned, perhaps they could only be summoned in water environments. After the courtship period ended, the demons of the middle abyss finally returned to normal. When demons intruding into Roy's territory appeared, they were no longer here to court but to fight. During the next 2 months, Roy spent most of his time hunting the fire salamanders. These monsters were under a lot of survival pressure in the middle abyss, so they had evolved to have a powerful reproductive ability. Even after Roy's continuous hunts, the group of more than 1,000 of them could still retain roughly the same numbers. Of course, this was also because Roy did not completely eradicate them but gave them time to recuperate. Roy now had more than 800 souls, and this was not counting the ones he used to make magic energy grow potions. Roy estimated that he had hunted more than 1,300 fire salamanders over the past 3 months, which made Roy slightly speechless. If there were no demons managing these guys, they would double their numbers in about 3 months. The only regret was that the souls of these fire salamanders were small in size and had a relatively small amount of soul power because they were monsters. If a normal low-quality soul had a soul power value of 10, then a fire salamander's soul power was only about 2 to 3. The difference was too great. Therefore, although Roy had 800 souls in his hands, they were only comparable to about 200 souls collected in the Heroes of Might and Magic world. Now, Roy's magic energy attribute had increased to 500 through consuming magic energy growth potions. Therefore, he intended to strengthen his combat strength with these souls that he had saved. The magic power circuit brought about by the Frost Demon bloodline could transform Roy's magic power into ice-cold energy, but so far, Roy's use of the ice-cold energy was too simplistic. Other than spreading his cold aura out to freeze objects, he only had the move of spitting frost aura from his mouth, which resembled breath moves. He was not the only one. Most middle-rank demons were like this. Their use of magic power was rather superficial because magic power and magic were fundamentally two different concepts. But it did not matter. As long as he continued strengthening his magic power circuit, Roy would figure out some skills to use magic sooner or later. However, he had to make certain preparations when he thought about how he would have to deal with an illusion demon like Caesar. The souls of 800 fire salamanders was equivalent to 200 ordinary low-quality souls. Roy did not know if this amount was enough, so he could only look at the situation and add or remove definitions accordingly. The first thing Roy thought of when it came to illusions was to increase his spiritual resistance. These illusion spells generally acted on the opponent's brain, so increasing his spirit or his will was the most basic form of resistance. However, he was afraid that it might not necessarily work. There was always a chance that Roy would fall into his opponent's illusions unless he could set himself to have complete immunity to illusions. After all, how much resistance he had could only decide how much he could negate. Therefore, Roy simply changed his mind. I don't want to resist your illusions, but see through your illusions. When it came to seeing through illusions, the first thing Roy thought of was eye techniques. Sharingan, Mystic Eyes of Death Perception, Cyclops' Eyes, Fiery Eyes Golden Gaze, Tyrant's Eye, and so on. Roy had many eye techniques in his memory. Chapter 81, Eyes of Nightmare. Actually, the name of the eye technique was not important. It was all about the definitions for Roy in any case. If there was a need, Roy could even shoot out kinesis light waves with the Sharingan. If he wanted to see through illusions and not be affected by them, he needed to have the ability to perceive and distinguish reality from illusion. Roy drew his demon eyes on the system's design panel. Then he drew a blood-red pentagram in his pupils to distinguish between using eye technique and not using it. Demons, of course, used pentagrams for show. Roy named his eye technique Eyes of Nightmare. Eyes of Nightmare. Definition 1. Insight. Can see through and break illusions, distinguishing between reality and illusion. Definition 2. Fear. Enemies looking directly at these eyes will have inexplicable fear arise from the bottom of their hearts. Worried that there were not enough souls, Roy only made 2 definitions for the Eyes of Nightmare for the time being. Definition 1 was naturally designed to deal with the illusion demon, but definition 2 was inspiration from nightmare demons. During his time in the Middle Abyss, Roy had come into contact with several nightmare demons. These demons with a demon horn on their heads and burning with flames were middle-rank demons resembling horses. Although higher-rank demons frequently used them as mounts, it was wrong to underestimate them because these nightmare demons were among the stronger middle-rank demons in the Middle Abyss. Through observation, Roy found that the magic power growth rate of these nightmare demons was generally relatively fast. This was because these demons had the nightmare bloodline. Their magic power circuits would form a special magic power that caused others to feel fear. When they killed their enemies with this magic power, the souls they obtained would be larger than normal. Roy had seen the nightmare demons hunting and compared the souls they harvested to his. If it were just 1 or 2 souls, then it could be described as coincidence. But after many comparisons, Roy realized that the souls they obtained were indeed bigger when hunting the same monsters. At that time, in order to verify his guess, Roy had specially found a nightmare demon to fight against, but Roy had not won. He found that the longer he fought with the nightmare demon, the more disheartened he would feel, feeling that the nightmare demon in front of him was very powerful and dreadful. After that, Roy came back to his senses. This fear effect with an intense suggestion effect might be something worthy of reference. This fear effect could allow him to obtain souls with more negative emotions in his future hunts. This thought made Roy understand why Spider Queen Urania had been chattering and threatening him non-stop. It seemed like Urania wanted to get a better, more fearful soul from him. In fact, these kinds of threats were not only used by Urania. Many demons like to roar loudly at their opponents and reveal their sharp fangs and claws when fighting, which were in themselves acts of threats. The effect of simply using language to scare enemies was not very good because it required incessantly repeating threats to induce fear in them. But many villains had died because of talking too much. The nightmare demon's fear effect was much better, as it silently affected the opponents during combat. Therefore, when Roy thought about using the ability of these nightmare demons for reference, His first thought was to obtain a force field of fear, also commonly known as a halo of fear. This way, as long as he stood there, he could affect his opponents without saying anything and also use it on many other targets at the same time. However, it was still those words. There might not be enough souls currently. The effect of such a halo of fear had to be set to emit all the time. And he would have to stand in a crowd to make others feel the effect of the fear and terror. Moreover, the radiation range was tiny. Furthermore, Roy still needed to deal with the illusion demon. So, in the end, he could only give up on this idea temporarily and change the ranged halo effect to a one-to-one eye technique to use first. When he had enough souls in the future, it would not be too late to modify. Of course, fear often came with the imagination of others running wild. In a sense, this was a kind of illusion. However, he could not create and guide the opponents to imagine horrific scenes, and he could only let the opponent's imagination run wild to produce psychological fear themselves. Roy temporarily defined his Eyes of Nightmare with these two attributes. When he had enough souls in the future, he would continue adding stronger abilities. For example, he would be able to see the ability of the opponent's magic power circuit or directly see the opponent's weaknesses. Or even like the mystic Eyes of Death perception and seeing the opponent's lines of death and then cutting the lines of death to kill the opponent directly. Of course, Roy was salivating over these abilities, but at the same time, the more powerful an ability, the more souls it would consume. So he could only treat them as goals to strive toward for the time being. After finishing his settings, Roy gave it some thought and added special light and shadow effects to the Eyes of Nightmare. This way, when Roy used the eye technique, his eyes would shine with blood-red light, making him look more terrifying and exacerbating the fear of his opponents. When Roy chose to save and materialize, he found that the number of souls he currently possessed was not enough, and he could only complete 75%. Left with no choice, he could only bring Fat Tiger to the living area of the fire salamanders to hunt. After killing 200 of them, the Eyes of Nightmare finally materialized. The souls of more than 1,000 fire salamanders was equivalent to 300 normal low-quality souls. Unexpectedly, this eye technique was rather expensive. He naturally had to test out this newly acquired toy. When Roy put magic power into his eyes, a bright pentagram appeared in the depths of his pupils. At the same time, Roy's demon eyes glowed with terrifying blood-red light. Fat Tiger looked up. He was originally watching his master, but he was frightened by Roy's sudden change and whimpered. Roy lowered his head and stared intently at Fat Tiger. Fat Tiger's three heads looked into Roy's eyes as well. After a while, Fat Tiger's tail stopped wagging and subconsciously clamped between his hind legs. Not only that, but there were different scenes appearing in all three of Fat Tiger's heads. All these scenes had a common theme: hunger and cold. In these delusions generated by fear, Fat Tiger's dream brought him to a world of snow and ice, and his master was missing. A sense of inexplicable fear invaded Fat Tiger, so he ran, wanting to find traces of his master, feeling that he could only relieve his uneasiness by being by his master's side. However, he obtained nothing. He did not encounter any living creature nor even any plants. There was only a vast expanse of white snow all around. As the days passed, the surrounding scenery did not change at all. Fat Tiger gradually could not run anymore, and his stomach had long sunk in, becoming as thin as a stick, because he had not eaten anything for a week, and his master was still missing. As he thought about it, Fat Tiger suddenly felt so wronged. He looked up at the sky and howled loudly. "Aww! Master! Woo! No want! Woof! Fat Tiger?" Roy did not know what the scenes appeared in Fat Tiger's mind. He merely stared at Fat Tiger for a while before Fat Tiger was first uneasy and then terrified. Fat Tiger suddenly lifted his three heads and wailed with tears in his eyes. Fuck! What did this kid see? Roy was shocked. He hurriedly withdrew his magic power and woke Fat Tiger up. Fat Tiger regained his senses and found that the ice and snow environment around him had disappeared, and his master appeared in front of him again, so he whimpered, pounced on Roy, and licked Roy with his three tongues vigorously. "Hey, what are you doing?" Roy quickly pushed him away, only to find Fat Tiger becoming exceptionally clingy. Roy did not know what Fat Tiger saw just now and why he became like this. Roy really regretted testing it out on Fat Tiger. Over the next few days, Roy changed his experimental subjects, using the fire salamanders and some middle-rank demons he encountered to test his Eyes of Nightmare. He realized that the lower a creature's intelligence, the worse the fear effect of the Eyes of Nightmare. This was because muddle-headed creatures had simpler imaginations of what fear was. Fire salamanders were like this. Roy did not even need to use his Eyes of Nightmare to exert fear on them. They would escape when they faced a powerful enemy and felt the threat of death. For creatures with high intelligence, the fear effect of the Eyes of Nightmare had room to play its role. When using the eye technique, Roy's eyes would flash with a bloody light. Especially when his head moved back and forth, faint traces of light would be left in the air, making his opponent unconsciously look into his eyes and become affected by the fear effect. They would passively have things flash in their minds that were difficult for them to accept and felt terrifying. And to demons, the most terrifying thing was encountering stronger opponents, so they would think that Roy looked terrifying and very powerful. It was inevitable that they would become constrained when fighting, causing them to be unable to display their usual strength and allowing Roy to fight more comfortably. Of course, there were demons with higher willpower that were very difficult to affect with this fear effect. Overall, Roy was quite satisfied with the fear effect because he had already confirmed that the souls he obtained after killing those affected by fear had indeed increased in volume and soul power. This meant that Roy would receive this fear bonus when hunting souls in the future, turning the original soul power of 1 to 1.1 or even 1.2. This way, he would slowly gather tiny amounts to obtain a huge quantity. When he had enough souls, he could change this fear effect into a halo radiating around him and even further strengthen this fear effect. With this thought, Roy could not help but think of a question. Will I become a Dreadlord in the future? No. It's hard to say what a Dreadlord is currently. Now, I'm probably more like a Protoss like Zeratul. Chapter 82, The Appearance of the Illusion Demon. Roy had tested the fear effect of the Eyes of Nightmare, but he could not test the ability to see through and break illusions. Just as Roy thought that it would take a long time before he could meet an illusion demon, the memory crystal that Roy had tied around his wrist unexpectedly lit up on the 4th month and 28th day that he entered the Middle Abyss. Roy did not respond at first, but then he suddenly remembered his mission and immediately felt the direction through the memory crystal. He called out to Fat Tiger. "Let's go." Roy and Fat Tiger flapped their wings and flew into the dark sky, swiftly heading in the direction the memory crystal indicated. The difficulty of this mission was not knowing when Caesar would come back, so he could only idly wait for him. But Caesar finally returned and reappeared in the Middle Abyss, and it was finally time for Roy's execution mission. The location where Caesar appeared in the abyss was quite far from Roy. Roy had flown for a long time but did not see the signal from the memory crystal become stronger, so he had to hold Fat Tiger in his arms and use Mach flight to speed up the pace. Roy could tell that Caesar had especially avoided the area where Demon Lord Rogeros had set up the refining pool when he returned. It seemed like he knew that he would be hunted down. But in Roy's impression, a demon returning from another world by opening a gate of the abyss should have teleported back to a random location. Could Caesar have mastered some method to navigate when passing through the gates of the abyss? Roy was unsure about this, but he still deepened his vigilance toward Caesar. Although he would have no issues dealing with the illusion demon's illusions with the Eyes of Nightmare, the opponent was still an upper-middle rank demon in the information. The difference between the lower, middle, and upper levels of low-rank demons was only the difference between newborn, growing, and adult. The lower, middle, and upper levels of middle-rank demons were calculated using the absolute value of magic power. In the past few months in the Middle Abyss, Roy had figured this out. If the absolute magic power value of lower middle-rank demons was between 400 to 600, then the value for middle-rank demons had doubled to be between 800 to 1200. And for upper middle-rank demons, it had doubled again from middle-rank demons to be between 1600 to 2400. In other words, in terms of magic power, upper middle-rank demons had about 4 times more magic power than lower middle-rank demons. And this difference of 4 times, in terms of number of souls, was a difference of 5 to 6,000 normal souls. Given the speed at which demons hunted souls, upper middle-rank demons had stayed in the Middle Abyss for a very long time. As time passed, the crude magic power usage of middle-rank demons would become more refined, and the magic they mastered would become more powerful, which was a very huge difference. If not for the fact that Caesar was an illusion demon, Roy would not have had the confidence to complete the mission. After all, as long as he found a way to break illusions, Caesar's power was not a big deal. Although Caesar's magic power far exceeded his, Roy was not someone to be trifled with. His magic power virus had the characteristic of devouring the opponent's magic power, so it was suitable for dealing with demons like illusion demons. Moreover, Roy had 2 skills he could use to escape: flash and teleport. This was why he had the confidence to face the upper middle rank demon. The gap between Roy and the upper middle rank was nothing more than the insufficient accumulation of time and magic power. In terms of combat ability, he was not afraid of Caesar. Roy did not expect that he would fly for 4 days. On the way, he passed by a lot of demon territories, but these demons did not disturb him because he only flew by. As he neared, the signal in the memory crystal gradually became stronger, indicating that Roy was close to Caesar. When he felt that the signal in the memory crystal was about to reach its peak, Roy landed with Fat Tiger. It was definitely impossible for him to be so bold as to fly directly to Caesar's head and land. He planned to observe his opponent carefully first. On the dusky black ground, the sulfuric-laden wind blew by from time to time. Roy crouched on a scorched black rock that was cooled lava, looked down, and found Caesar. Just like the information showed, this illusion demon named Caesar looked a bit like a centaur, but his entire face was on the abdomen of his human upper body, making him look rather strange. Caesar was currently hunting, and his prey was a monster that looked like a tentacle monster. It was a very cruel monster and had dozens of tentacles full of suckers. Once stuck on the enemy, they could tear the enemy's flesh into bloody pieces. But when Roy saw Caesar, he seemed to be hunting this monster as easily as drinking water. Facing the tentacle monster making threatening gestures, the eyes on Caesar's chest merely sparkled twice. Then Roy saw the tentacle monster charging fiercely at a giant rock nearby. The enemy was obviously in front of it, but it firmly entangled its tentacles around the rock and did not let go at all. After Caesar leisurely walked over and smashed the tentacle monster's head with the huge axe in his hand, the entire hunting process ended. It was not until this time that Caesar calmly used his axe to pick up the tentacle monster, opened that hideous mouth on his abdomen, and swallowed the tentacle monster together with its soul. However, Roy noticed that after devouring the monster, Caesar made a dissatisfied sound, seemingly not satisfied with the soul of this tentacle monster. This guy actually has a weapon. In addition to illusions, it seems like he's also skilled at melee combat. A demon who isn't powerful wouldn't be able to use this axe. Roy pondered while watching Caesar eat. And there's that tentacle monster. This monster doesn't have eyes and completely relies on the perception of its limbs. But Caesar's illusion actually had an effect on it. This means that his illusions aren't only limited to visual deception but should have perceptual deception. Caesar's hunt was not over yet. Demons usually did not eat enough after one monster, so Roy could continue observing Caesar's fighting style. By the way, what about that demon artifact? After watching for a while, Roy noticed this problem. Besides the hair covering Caesar, Roy did not see anything like clothing. Idra had said that Caesar had stolen the demon artifact, but Roy could not see it on him. If not for the signal in the memory crystal constantly reminding him, Roy would have even suspected that Caesar had not brought it back. Only after devouring several tentacle monsters did Caesar stop. He used one hand to grip his battle axe and the other to wipe the blood off the mouth on his abdomen. He suddenly said loudly in the demon language, "I'm already full. Come down. You're the execution demon sent by Rogeros, right?" As he spoke, he turned his body toward Roy's high position. The gigantic pair of demon eyes on his chest also looked over. Was I discovered? How is that possible? Roy had specially chosen a position against the wind to prevent scent problems. However, it did not matter if he was found. Roy knew that he was good at concealing his tracks and tailing, so he calmly spread his demon wings and flew down from high above. But he did not land. He flapped his wings and floated in the air not far from Caesar, while a Fat Tiger retracted his wings and stood on the ground. After landing, Fat Tiger sniffed Caesar's smell and remembered it. "How did you find me?" Roy asked curiously. "Your gaze. This is also a kind of perception." The mouth on Caesar's abdomen opened into a grin. "And we illusion demons are the best at the feedback of perception. As long as you look at me, I'll be able to notice you as well." "Really?" Roy's heart stirred when he heard this. He immediately activated the Eyes of Nightmare and asked, "Where's the demon artifact? Where are you hiding it?" With the activation of his insight ability, Roy found that there was a deviation in where Caesar was standing from what he was seeing. His body was actually a little farther behind. As expected, this guy had already secretly activated his illusion. However, under the watchful gaze of the Eyes of Nightmare, his illusory body disappeared, replaced with the true location of his body. This made Roy feel relieved. Sure enough, the insight ability was able to dispel this illusion. However, Roy intentionally did not look at where Caesar was but continued staring at where his illusory body was just now because Caesar had just said that he was very sensitive to sight. This way, Roy would confuse Caesar. He would not realize that Roy had seen through his illusion and would underestimate him. Caesar stroked the sharp teeth interlaced on his stomach and said proudly, The demon artifact is in my stomach. You can get it by killing me, but I strongly doubt that you have the strength. Seriously, I didn't expect that a lower middle rank demon would even take on this execution demon mission. It seems like Rogeros doesn't plan on getting his item back. Chapter 83, Fighting the Illusion Demon. Although he said that, Caesar looked at Roy's eyes involuntarily. Then he saw the pentagrams in Roy's eyes. In his impression, he had never seen any demon bloodline with demon eyes like Roy's. For a moment, he had some doubts about Roy's background. At this time, Roy said, "You know about the execution demon, so I'm not the first to chase you down, right?" "Yes," Caesar replied proudly. "You aren't the first demon to come to execute me. Before you, Rogeros sent 2 execution demons. But unfortunately, they failed to kill me, and I devoured their souls instead." "You address him directly by name? You don't seem to have any fear of the Demon Lord?" Roy asked with interest. "What does the Demon Lord count as?" Caesar raised his axe and roared, "If my plan succeeds, I will also become in existence like him. No. I could even be stronger than him." "Oh?" Roy pretended to be very interested. "Can you tell me what your plan is? Also, what's the use of the demon artifact you stole?" "Fool, why should I?" Caesar subconsciously wanted to scold him, but before he could finish, a scene appeared in his mind. In this scene, Demon Lord Rogeros suddenly appeared behind him, stretched out his hand, directly pierced his chest, and crushed his demon heart. Caesar was worthy of being an illusion demon. The scene abruptly stopped here. He immediately saw through it and realized that it was not real, so he forcibly controlled his thoughts and terminated this scene he imagined. But even so, the fear of death permeated his entire body, making him feel his blood run cold. Although Caesar had said that the Demon Lord was no big deal, he was actually most afraid of Demon Lord Rogeros. Otherwise, he would not have run away to another world to hide after stealing the demon artifact. Caesar was frightened by the terrifying scene he imagined. He flew into a rage and pointed his axe at Roy. "Damn it! You did it, right?" As a master of illusions of the demon world, it was extremely humiliating for an illusion demon like Caesar to actually fall into an illusion. Of course, Roy knew that this guy must have been frightened when he looked at his eyes just now, so he did not deny it and spread his hands. "Why are you so angry? Weren't we having a good chat? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to rip off your demon horns and imprison your soul in them for eternity." Caesar roared as he raised his axe and charged at Roy. Although he had managed to react in time, the scene he saw a moment ago was not an illusion but from his subconscious imagination. It was undoubtedly caused by this demon in front of him. This strange-looking demon in front of him made Caesar feel an indecipherable bad emotion. He no longer planned to say anything to Roy, merely wanting to kill Roy and get rid of this execution demon. Caesar's 4 heavy hooves ran on the ground. While his body was charging forward, the illusory body that he created also made the same actions as his body. He roared and rushed forward with his axe. He was very confident in his illusion. He thought that Roy was already caught in his illusion when he observed him earlier. The reason an illusion was called an illusion was that it could create a false appearance to deceive the opponent. When an opponent saw Caesar's illusory body, they would ignore the existence of Caesar's main body. The attacks made by the illusory body were all false, and only the main body would complete the fatal blow. The moment the battle started, Roy had already descended from the sky. The light in his eyes left 2 gradually fading trails of light in the air. But both his eyes were still staring at where Caesar's illusory body was, pretending to be deceived by the illusion. When Caesar's main body was about to approach Roy, Roy suddenly turned around and faced his true body. This sudden change shocked Caesar, but he had already raised his axe in his hand, and raging flames were still attached to it. He initially wanted to take advantage of Roy when he was confused by his illusion and kill him in a sneak attack. But he did not expect that Roy would not give a damn about the attack from the illusion and instead face his true body. Caesar could no longer stop his attack. In his haste, he could only cut down first. The next second, a loud clank came. Caesar's blazing axe landed on an ice crystal shield that suddenly appeared. Needless to say, Roy had created this ice crystal shield. It was a hexagonal shield, and the black ice crystals were not reflecting any light at all. It was exceptionally eye-catching. The heavy blow from Caesar's axe did not even manage to move Roy's feet. The impact was entirely absorbed. This was an application of magic power that Roy had recently researched. He had to admit that the combination of the dark fruit and the power of frost was perfect. In the past, although the dark fruit could absorb damage for Roy, That only meant that when Roy received damage, it was absorbed. The pain was still unavoidable. Now, it was good. Roy could combine the dark fruit's ability to absorb damage and the power of frost to use ice to make a shield. This shield could absorb damage like the dark fruit and protect him from directly receiving the opponent's attacks. As long as Caesar's strength did not exceed the absorption limit of the shield, he would be unable to break it. At the same time, because of the magic power virus in the ice, the flames formed by the magic power that Caesar had attached to the axe were also devoured. After easily blocking Caesar's attack, Roy used Flash, appeared behind Caesar, pressed his demon claws against his back, and activated Dark Cold. Kacha. A large amount of ice immediately appeared on Caesar's back and spread to his limbs and body. Ah! Caesar felt the strong threat coming from his back. He tightened his muscles, turned around, and swung his axe at Roy. Roy instantly condensed a frost shield again to block this attack. However, Caesar took the opportunity to twist his body and forcibly break the ice on his body. He then kicked the ground and jumped a considerable distance away. He held the axe while panting heavily. He could feel that he had lost a lot of magic power when he was almost frozen just now. He did not understand what was going on, but he was in a passive position after 2 consecutive clashes, forcing Caesar to raise Roy's threat level substantially. "You weren't affected by my illusion?" Caesar looked at Roy in disbelief. "Is it because of those eyes? You can understand it like that?" Roy nodded. "I see. Looks like ordinary illusions don't work on you." The huge eyes on Caesar's chest were full of savageness. It seems like Rogeros finally found the right execution demon. While speaking, Caesar raised his front hooves high and then stomped on the ground. Boom! As his front hooves landed, Caesar's entire body seemed to be in a trance. His body began to blur and phase away. The next moment, 2 illusory figures emerged from his body and appeared on each of his sides, creating 2 demons that looked exactly like him. "What about this time?" Caesar roared with laughter as the 3 demons rushed at Roy together. Roy looked up, but under the inside of the Eyes of Nightmare, he actually found that the other 2 illusory bodies were real. No, to be precise, the other 2 Caesars that Roy saw were bodies condensed from 2 enormous masses of magic power. These 2 were not deceiving the eyes but real. Physical illusions? Roy understood in a flash. Physical illusions should have offensive capabilities, so Roy did not hold back this time and fully outputted his magic power. The cold aura around Roy surged out, and the surrounding ground began to form a thin layer of black ice. The 3 Caesars rushing at him were affected by Roy's cold aura. Their feet began slipping, and one of the illusory bodies even nearly fell. Although it managed to stabilize its footing with its 4 hooves, a time difference arose in the 3 Caesars' offensive. Roy used the frost shield to block the slash of Caesar's true body. Then his tail flicked out and pierced through the chest of the illusory body attacking his side. This illusory body felt very real, and there was even a kind of blocking feeling coming from his tail. Meanwhile, Fat Tiger spat venom at the illusory body that almost fell. The illusory body pierced by Roy's tail turned a chaotic mass of magic power and dissipated. After blocking the slash from Caesar's true body, Roy seized the opportunity to grab Caesar's axe. His cold aura corroded upward, going along the axe to attack Caesar's arm. However, at this moment, Caesar suddenly threw his axe aside and laughed wildly. "Ha ha ha! You were fooled." With that, the eyes on his chest opened to its greatest extent, and light burst out. This ray of light instantly struck Roy. The next moment, Roy suddenly discovered that his environment had changed. He appeared in a space full of corpses and bloody smells. He stood in a field, and not far away, endless enemies were streaming toward him, all of which were ferocious-looking demons with saliva dripping from their mouths. They pounced on Roy viciously and began tearing his flesh. Roy howled in pain. He killed these demons with all his might, but it was useless. When he killed one, 2 more would throw themselves at him. Even bone arms appeared from the ground to clutch his legs firmly. "No. This isn't real. It's all an illusion." Roy stopped resisting and concentrated magic power into his eyes. A pair of illusory eyes with pentagrams spinning in them appeared in this space. The next moment, this space suddenly collapsed. When he designed the Eyes of Nightmare, Roy had said that he knew illusions were impossible to guard against completely, and he might not necessarily be totally resistant to them. But he only needed to be able to see through illusions at critical moments. This was the case now. Caesar used his illusion demon eyes to pull Roy into an illusion at close range. But when Roy used the inside ability of the Eyes of Nightmare again, He immediately freed himself from the illusion. In the illusion, Roy felt that a lot of time had passed. But in reality, only 3 seconds had passed since Roy was hit and struggled free. Caesar had never thought that Roy would break free so quickly. He had just picked up the frozen axe on the ground. Roy regained his senses and looked at Caesar's wide-opened eyes. He did not even think twice before directly piercing his claw into one of the eyes on Caesar's chest. This time, Caesar finally let out a blood-curdling scream. Chapter 84, Huge Benefits. Roy's claw scratched one of Caesar's eyes, which also made Roy aware of Caesar's weakness. Just as Roy was about to seize the opportunity and follow up to destroy Caesar's other illusion demon eye, the large mouth on Caesar's abdomen opened wide and spat out a green mist with a strong smell at Roy. Roy blocked with the frost shield in his hand but found that the mist did not seem to be formed by magic power. The magic power virus on the shield did not react to it, but rather, the mist was corroding Roy's shield. Seeing this, Roy knew he could not let this green mist touch him, so he flapped his wings and flew back. This thing seemed to be Caesar's stomach acid. After the mist touched the ground, the corrosion became stronger, and even thick smoke rose from the ground. Fat Tiger was at his wit's end. After killing one of Caesar's physical illusions, he hid beside Roy. Upon smelling the green mist, his 3 heads were sneezing non-stop because his sense of smell was too sensitive. After Roy retreated to a safe range, he flapped his demon wings vigorously, trying to blow the mist away. However, after the mist dissipated, he found that what he was left behind was a physical illusion. Roy's eyes of nightmare clearly saw that this illusion was only a mass of magic power, and Caesar's true body was already running away. "Damn, you're an upper-middle rank demon. Do you need to be so timid?" Roy cursed. He knew that although Caesar's eye was injured, his magic power did not decrease that much. When Roy spread the cold door just now, although some magic power viruses had infected Caesar, with merely that tiny amount, it was impossible to devour all of the magic power of an upper-middle rank demon. In fact, since the beginning of their battle until now, Caesar had probably not used up 1/10 of his magic power. But in this situation, Caesar still chose to escape, showing that he truly felt the threat Roy brought him. While Caesar had been hiding in another world, Roy had no way to deal with him, but in the same way, he had also given Roy time to make certain preparations. If not for the Eyes of Nightmare's ability to see through and break illusions, Roy would not have been able to handle Caesar. Before this, some execution demons had tried to kill Caesar but were instead killed by him. Illusions were actually very powerful. Given Caesar's skills, Roy felt that he might not necessarily lose even against high-rank demons. But at the same time, once targeted, the biggest disadvantage of illusions appeared, the lack of corresponding offensive abilities. If Caesar could not consume the opponent's physical strength and magic power in the illusion, then he would not be able to deal the fatal blow. Although his strength was high, Roy's frost shield could absorb the impact, preventing him from breaking Roy's defense. Even the commonly used flame abilities of many demons were restrained by Roy's frost power, so how could he still fight? Caesar realized this point in the end and that it was useless to continue entangling with Roy. Even if he had more magic power than Roy, it would not be enough to consume all of Roy's. Before Roy ran out of magic power, he might cause fatal damage to Caesar. With the cover of the stomach acid mist, Caesar escaped, leaving behind an illusory body to stall Roy. However, it did not stall Roy for long. After the magic power that condensed the illusory body dissipated, the illusion disappeared. Roy called out to Fat Tiger, and one demon and one dog flew up into the sky and chased after Caesar. Flying at the speed of sound, Roy did not take long before catching up to Caesar. Seeing Roy in the sky behind him, Caesar roared angrily but did not stop. He just threw his axe at Roy in the air, but Roy easily dodged. Boom! Roy landed in front of Caesar, while Fat Tiger landed behind Caesar, surrounding him. "You can't escape. Without wings, it's impossible for you to be faster than me." Roy emitted his cold aura while staring at Caesar. "Also, don't forget. I have the memory crystal that can track the location of the demon artifact you're carrying. In this abyss, I can find you wherever you flee." Caesar's chest was heaving, and the big mouth on his stomach was panting heavily. He knew that Roy was right. Facing this demon who restrained him, no matter where he ran, he would be found. "Ah. You were right," Caesar said. "I've actually made preparations when I returned. I know that the power of the Demon Lord isn't something that I can deal with. Even without you, there will still be other execution demons pursuing me. I can hide once or twice but not from all of them. It's good that you understand." "Hand over the demon artifact," Roy said. "To be honest, I don't want to take it out of your corpse." "Damn, your stomach is really disgusting." Ha ha ha. Caesar suddenly laughed out loud. "The demon artifact is indeed in my body. I'm not lying about this. But don't you want to know what the demon artifact I stole is? I can show you." With that, Caesar opened his mouth and spat out an object covered with mucus. Caesar held it in his hand. Roy endured his disgust and looked at it. It was a small black cylindrical object, about 20 centimeters long and covered with engraved demon characters. "This is what I stole from Demon Lord Rogeros." Caesar showed it to Roy. "This thing is called the Belotan Pillar. It is a demon creation made by a demon lord named Belotan using his own soul fragment. However, this demon lord perished in a battle with a high-level angel, and Rogeros obtained this magic weapon that has lost its function." Lost its function? Roy did not believe it. "If it has really lost its function, why are you carrying it?" Caesar did not answer Roy but instead asked, "Do you know what the original function of this Belotan Pillar is?" "A powerful weapon?" Roy answered cooperatively, but at the same time, he put his guard up. Caesar took this demon artifact out, so he was definitely thinking about having a final struggle. Since a demon lord had created it, it might have astonishing might. If it really was a weapon, the moment Roy saw Caesar use it, he would flash away without a moment's hesitation. Therefore, while being vigilant, Roy contacted Fat Tiger through the spiritual connection and made him retreat carefully. However, Caesar shook his faceless head. "Wrong. It isn't a weapon at all. In fact, the Belotan Pillar in my hand isn't complete because it still has a base piece." As he explained, red light began emanating from Caesar. Under the inside ability of Roy's Eye of Nightmare, he could see traces of formidable magic power flowing around Caesar. "What are you doing?" Roy took a few steps back cautiously and asked in disbelief, "You want to self-destruct?" "Yes." Caesar laughed sinisterly. "There's only one function for the Belotan Pillar, soul sustenance. It allows my soul to attach to it completely without any damage. But this thing lost its original function after Belotan died. To reactivate it, you must sacrifice your life." "Soul sustenance?" Roy pondered over the term and was increasingly surprised. He already guessed what Caesar wanted to do and could not help but exclaim, "You want to attach your soul to it and escape to another world?" These words stunned Caesar for a moment. He did not expect Roy to be so smart and immediately guess his motive. However, Caesar had already overloaded his magic power circuit, and this process was irreversible, so he had nothing he could not say. He nodded. "You guessed right. Did you think I did nothing while hiding in another world? Since I can't escape Rogeros's pursuit in the abyss, then I might as well stay in another world and not return. When I sacrifice my life to activate the Belotan Pillar, the base piece I left in the other world will summon the Belotan Pillar back." "How is that possible?" Roy could not help asking. "How are you going to survive without a body? Moreover, the repulsive force of the world is effective even on souls. How can you stay in another world and not come back?" "Ha! This is my last secret. I won't tell you anymore. You only need to know that I can do it." Caesar laughed maniacally. "That world isn't barren like the abyss, and I will harvest countless delicious souls in it. When I become a demon lord, even Rogeros won't be able to do anything to me." With that, Caesar's magic power reached its peak, and his entire body exploded with a bang. Flesh flew, and purple blood splattered everywhere. Even though Roy was far away, he was nearly drenched. A huge pit appeared at the center of the magic power explosion. While self-destructing, Caesar's soul was drawn out and attached to the Belotan Pillar, leaving only the activated Belotan Pillar floating in the air and radiating light. After the explosion, Roy immediately rushed to the small pillar, but before he could reach it, the black mist of a gate of the abyss appeared. The mist enveloped the Belotan Pillar and teleported it away. Fuck. This guy is really ruthless. He didn't even hesitate to destroy his body to make it out of the abyss. In that other world, are there really such huge benefits that he would do this? The gate of the abyss, which teleported the Belotan Pillar, closed in a very short time. Even if it had not closed, Roy would not foolishly chase after him. But the problem now was that Roy seemed to have failed his mission. Although Caesar died physically, his soul escaped, and he had not managed to recover the Belotan Pillar. How was he supposed to report back on the mission? Roy stood where he was, pondering. He felt he could only tell Idra the truth. After all, no one could have thought that Caesar would use this method to escape from the abyss. Since this happened, Idra would understand. Just as Roy was about to turn around, An incomparably immense pressure suddenly appeared. This pressure was far beyond what Idra had shown when he appeared, and Roy almost fell to his knees. A tall figure appeared in front of Roy. This figure was at least 5 meters tall, and Roy looked tiny in front of this figure. The figure that appeared wore fiery red armor and stood with his fiery red cloak hanging onto the ground. At his waist under the cloak was a huge demon sword, and one of the figure's gloved hands was resting on the hilt. Roy strenuously lifted his head to look at the figure's face, only to find that his head was covered by a lord's crown, and his face was unclear. All he could see was a pair of eyes shining fiery red and powerful flames surrounding his huge body. Roy instantly knew who had appeared. He lowered his head. Lord Roggeros. I felt the fluctuations of the Bolotan pillar reactivating. What's going on? The person who came was indeed Demon Lord Roggeros. To be precise, it should be his incarnation. He stared at Roy and asked, "Are you the execution demon this time? Tell me what happened." Roy did not hide anything and told him the entire story. What is he trying to do? After Roy finished speaking, Roggeros could not help but feel doubtful. Stay in another world forever? Did he truly say that? Yes, that's what he said. Roy nodded. Does that mean Caesar wants to use that method? Roggeros thought out loud. He suddenly said to Roy, "Since you have the ability to restrain Caesar and force him to abandon his body, I want you to continue with your execution mission." How do I continue? Roy asked. The Bolotan pillar was teleported through a gate of the abyss, but after a gate of the abyss opens, there will be certain traces. My strength is sufficient to trace the world coordinates. Now, I will open another gate of the abyss. Your mission is to follow the trail, find Caesar during your stay, figure out what he wants to do, then kill him, and bring back the Bolotan pillar. Will this work? Roy asked. I don't know how long I'll be able to stay in that world. What if the repulsive force of the world is too strong? Does this form of going to another world without being summoned increase the time I can stay through signing a demon contract? Yes, but the gate of the abyss I open might not be able to locate Caesar's position accurately, and it might be far away, Roggeros said. Therefore, you'll have to figure out the concrete situation. Facing a powerful demon lord, Roy certainly could not decline. But luckily, Roggeros knew that this mission exceeded the scope of his original execution mission, so he took the initiative to say, I will also reward you accordingly after you complete the mission. Okay. Roy called the quivering fat tiger to his side. Roggeros began casting. His hand glowed with the radiance of magic power, and he drew patterns in the air. It seemed like only with the strength of a demon lord could you open a gate of the abyss on your own accord. A moment later, under the convergence of formidable magic power, a new gate of the abyss opened in the deep pit where Caesar exploded. Go in. Roggeros said. I have left magic power on you. Once you complete this mission, activate this magic power, and you can open a gate of the abyss and return. Roy brought Fat Tiger into the gate of the abyss. The black mist enveloped them, and they disappeared in an instant. After Roy left, Roggeros could not help but whisper to himself, I didn't expect Caesar to be so daring. If he wants to stay forever, he can only create a half-human half-demon taboo body. How is he going to do it? Chapter 85, Being Seen. Roy felt that Caesar would never have thought that sacrificing his life to reactivate the Bolotan pillar during the cooling down period of his return and forcibly teleporting across worlds again would attract the attention of the Demon Lord. Moreover, he would never have thought that Roggeros could trace the destination coordinates of the gate of the abyss he used to teleport. In fact, it was normal for a middle-ranked demon to be far from the level of a Demon Lord. Thus, it was fundamentally impossible for him to understand how powerful a Demon Lord was. The gates of the abyss were set up by these high-level demons, so how could they not know how they operated? If Caesar knew what happened afterward, he would never have given up his body so easily. As for Roy, he felt that the mission was quite troublesome. He had wasted so much time only to still let Caesar escape. But at the same time, Roy was very curious. He wanted to know why Caesar was so adamant about fleeing to another world. Even if he feared Demon Lord Roggeros, he should not be so afraid that he would hide forever. The abyss was so vast that it was not as though Roggeros was the only Demon Lord. Would it not be possible to steel himself to serve another Demon Lord for protection? Or was he worried that his status as a middle-ranked demon was too low and that it would be impossible for the Demon Lord to protect his life, so he steeled himself and staked everything on this? Roy did not know what Caesar was thinking. But after careful consideration, he felt that Caesar's action of using the Bolotan pillar to travel to another world was similar to him leaving the Dragon Balls in the Heroes of Might and Magic world. Both of them were an escape route. What was different was that Roy could make what he wanted through the system, but Caesar could not, so he could only take the risk of offending the Demon Lord to steal it. This made Roy realize that even middle-ranked demons could still not be considered free. Strength, strength, strength was everything in the abyss. The mist of the gate of the abyss dissipated, and Roy appeared with Fat Tiger. The moment he appeared, he immediately felt the will of the world. Every world had its own self-protection mechanism, and there would be instinctive repulsion for existences that came from other worlds. This was the principle of a world's repulsive power, but the laws of a world were not necessarily perfect. When the intelligent beings of a world mastered a certain degree of mysticism, they could open a passage through space on their own. The world itself could not stop this, which was the origin of the summoning ceremony. At the same time, powerful beings could forcefully open this kind of spatial passage. Of course, this was not easy, so even powerful beings rarely did this. Roy could feel that the repulsive force of this world was stronger than that of the Heroes of Might and Magic world, but it was lower than that of the Van Helsing world, which meant that this world was not a low magic world, but it was a high magic world either. Using his magic power, Roy began resisting the repulsive force and then estimated how long he could stay in this world based on the consumption of his magic power. The conclusion was about 30 days. If Roy could not find Caesar in this month, then he would have to find someone from this world to sign a demon contract with. Roy looked around and found himself in a pile of rubble. It was night time, but with his dark vision, Roy could still see the appearance of the ruins clearly. It seemed to be a village, but there were no signs of life now. A large number of collapsed walls and houses formed countless rubble and wood, piling up together in messes. And in these messes were many human household goods. Roy rummaged around and found some kettles, wash basins, and clothes. This meant that this world was at least a civilized society, and there were already light industrial products, but he seldom saw electronic products. In addition, Roy saw many corpses buried under the rubble. The corpses were rotten and smelled, but he could see that they were human. The cause of these humans' deaths seemed to have been from the impact of explosions. Many corpses were incomplete. And it seemed like these explosions should have happened not long ago. What kind of world is this? It looks like Earth, but what year is it? After exploring for a while, Roy could only give up. After all, he was not a professional detective and could not tell much from these ruins. Roy raised his wrist and looked at the memory crystal. But what annoyed Roy was that the memory crystal could no longer indicate the direction of the Bolotan pillar. What happened? Could Caesar reactivating the Bolotan pillar have damaged the positioning signal in it? While annoyed, Roy suddenly felt a slight tremor. The trembling was gradually intensifying. However, it was not an earthquake but something approaching from afar. He spread his wings, flew up into the air, and went toward the vibrations with Fat Tiger. Before long, Roy found lights in the periphery of the village ruins. It was a group of vehicles. Roy saw several motorcycles and automobiles in it. These motorcycles were military motorcycles, which looked very old, and the automobiles were the typical large trucks. However, what surprised Roy the most was the few big guys traveling together with the convoy. Long barrels, caterpillar tracks, these big guys turned out to be a few tanks. They rumbled along on the ground and followed the convoy toward the village ruins. The ground vibrations earlier were from them. And at this time, Roy clearly saw a familiar military emblem on these tanks. Shit. The Germans? During World War II. Roy was shocked. He never thought that the world that Caesar was hiding in would turn out to be a World War II world. Speaking of which, in such a world, were there any people that could summon demons? However, Roy fell into deep thought afterward. He felt that he seemed to understand why Caesar wanted to come to this world. War. Everything was for war. As everyone knew, wars were often periods where humans died in massive numbers, especially during World War II. There were countless civilian deaths because of the war, as well as soldiers from various countries. These dead people meant a lot of souls. In comparison, although the Heroes of Might and Magic world had also been at war for a long time, a war in a magic world and a war in a scientific world were two completely different things. Did Caesar choose to come to this world to harvest a large number of souls with the help of the war? Or could World War II have been caused by Caesar secretly? After all, he's been in this world for a long time and should have made a lot of arrangements. Roy hovered in the air, thinking wildly about what kind of world he had come to. The German army below was preparing to enter the village ruins for repairs and maintenance. A German soldier with a gun jumped down from a truck. He seemed to feel his addiction kick in, so he took out an unfiltered cigarette from his pocket and took out a lighter to light a cigarette. However, just as he was about to light the cigarette, the soldier seemed to see something with the help of the flame and raised his head curiously. The next moment, the cigarette in his mouth fell. It was very difficult to see clearly at night, and it was a moonless night tonight, but at least he could see a general shape. When the soldier saw Roy's silhouette in the air, his entire body trembled, and he screamed with all his might in German. The scream naturally alerted the other soldiers. They immediately picked up their guns and looked in the direction the soldier was pointing. Similar to the soldier, when the other soldiers saw the strange, winged, humanoid creature in the night sky, a commotion immediately broke out. Alarms began to ring, and the soldiers started moving. They raised the searchlights on the tanks and shone them at Roy in the air. Roy was deep in thought and had forgotten to hide. He did not expect that in such a short time, strong lights would shoot at him, and his entire body was seen by all the German soldiers below. It's too late to hide now. Chapter 86, Overturning an Army Alone. Demons hated strong light. This was due to their evolution in the abyss's dark environment. Contrary to legends, demons would not turn into ashes under the sun. This was a misunderstanding between humans and demons because demons hated strong light and did not like to move around under the sun. Roy was no exception. He was already used to the darkness, but these German soldiers suddenly illuminated him with searchlights. How could he feel comfortable? Roy could not help but roar angrily at them as he blocked the light. However, the soldiers were extremely terrified after seeing a legendary demon under the searchlights, and their nerves were already stretched taut. And with Roy's roar, their nerves finally snapped. Bang! Roy did not know which soldier fired their gun first, but a bullet from a Mauser Carabiner 98K shot at Roy in the air. But the bullet was miles away because of the gun owner's shaking hand. This bullet did not hit Roy, but it became a signal. The next moment, all the soldiers below picked up their weapons and opened fire on Roy. If they were unarmed, they might have turned around and escaped after seeing a demon. But they were a group of fully armed soldiers, and they had the strange thought of eliminating evil. There were over 200 of them. Their equipment, in addition to rifles, included MG-42 machine guns, grenades, and anti-tank rockets. If you counted the tank cannons, it could be said that this unit had fierce firepower. The moment the attack started, hundreds of bullets shot into the air. Although most of them missed, Roy still felt the impact of dozens of bullets landing. However, these bullets did not cause him any damage at all. At most, it made Roy feel a little itch. Humans that developed technology had always had blind faith in the power of their firearms. But little did they know that for powerful creatures like demons, even low-rank demons when they successfully reached maturity, their skin could already withstand attacks from ordinary firearms. Roy suffered quite a number of bullet hits. Although he was not injured, he sighed inwardly. Given his appearance as a demon, he would be attacked regardless of the rights and wrongs when he encountered people. It had already become a custom. At this moment, a rocket fired at him from below. Roy subconsciously raised his arms to protect his eyes, and the rocket hit him in the next moment. Boom! A ball of flames exploded in midair, and then a burst of smoke filled the air. The soldiers below started cheering when they saw this. In their view, even a demon would definitely die after being hit by this rocket. However, after the smoke cleared, Roy's figure slowly reappeared, causing the cheering soldiers to stop abruptly like ducks being strangled. A rocket hurts a little. Roy bared his fangs as he looked at his smoking arms. He could feel his entire arms burning hot, like the feeling of being scorched by magma. Quick! Quick! Reload! The German soldiers regained their senses. They hurriedly reloaded their rocket launchers and prepared to open fire again. But how could Roy wait for them to reload? After checking the disparity in combat strength between demons and humans, Roy decided not to take another hit passively. He flapped his wings and fell from the sky. It's coming! Fire! Fire! The soldiers screamed in horror as they pointed their guns at Roy. They held the triggers without loosening their grip. Da-da-da-da! The sound of continuous gunfire rang out. They emptied the bullets in their guns, but it was to no avail. Roy charged into the crowd. With a wave of his arm, a soldier was flung into the air and screamed at the top of his lungs. His ribs had barely touched Roy's arm before being crushed. Roy grabbed a soldier off a motorcycle and threw him hard, smashing him into a nearby tank. The soldier slammed against the side armor with a loud thud and then left a human-shaped blood mark before slowly sliding down. He picked up the motorcycle and threw the vehicle that weighed hundreds of kilograms as easily as a ball. It landed on several soldiers and crushed them onto the ground, turning them into a bloody mess. The force was so powerful that it actually bounced up again as broken parts flew all around. "Lord, give me courage and strength." With a frantic look, a soldier jumped onto Roy's back from behind and hugged Roy tightly before pulling the ring of the grenade in his hand. These German soldiers had experienced life and death battles on the battlefield after all, so they certainly did not lack courage at critical moments. However, after the grenade exploded with a bang, the soldier was blasted into pieces. But Roy was not damaged in any way apart from smelling like gunpowder. The disparity was too great. An adult man's strength was probably only a little more than 5 in the system interface. Even when Roy was just born, his strength was more than 10. Now that he had grown into a middle-rank demon, his strength and speed were dozens of times that of ordinary humans. How could these German soldiers be his opponent? In the Abyss, his opponents were demons like him, so Roy did not have an accurate gauge of his strength, but this battle made Roy fully aware of the horror of demons. Firearms, grenades, rockets, the damage these human weapons could inflict on Roy was extremely limited. Roy did not even use the power of frost and had Fat Tiger just stay aside and not intervene. In the end, he utterly defeated all these soldiers alone. Motorcycles were sent flying, and automobiles were knocked crooked onto their sides. The machine gunners on the truck roofs had long died, leaving only machine guns with empty ammunition belts emitting hot air. Since these soldiers wanted to kill Roy as soon as they met, Roy certainly would not be polite. At this moment, there was a loud noise. A tank finally had the chance to fire. Roy was big and a good target, but his movements were too fast. It was difficult for a bulky tank to adjust its cannon to aim at him, but there were several tanks at the scene. After each tank became responsible for certain angles, a tank finally seized the opportune moment and fired at Roy. The speed of the shell was much faster than the rockets, and it was so close that Roy did not even have time to react before he was hit. The shell hit Roy with immense kinetic energy. After the violent explosion, Roy's entire body flew away and smashed through a few walls in the distance before finally stopping. The soldiers witnessed this scene with their own eyes, but this time, they did not cheer loudly like when the rocket hit. Instead, they had grim faces as they anxiously looked at the rubble where Roy crashed. The gunfire had stopped, leaving only the noisy rumbling of the tank engines. There was a loud thud, and an arm with sharp claws pushed open the rubble. The arm propped itself on the rubble and pulled Roy's body out from behind. He looked down at his chest, where the shell hit him. The power of this tank shell was indeed incomparable. Roy could feel the excruciating pain in his chest, indicating that his ribs were broken. But at this time, Roy's activity attribute played its role. Under a demon's powerful self-healing ability, the broken ribs gave off a slight tingling feeling, showing that the broken parts were healing. "Ah!" Roy roared, releasing the stuffy feeling in his chest. He glowed red as he activated Bloodlust. His body suddenly swelled up, and he ran all the way, smashing through the broken walls of the ruins, and reappeared in front of the German soldiers. The moment they saw Roy, the soldiers could no longer take it and collapsed completely. Facing this inhuman existence, they realized their weakness and helplessness. Even the tank could not kill the demon, so how could they be his opponents? Roy did not care about the fleeing soldiers as he ran straight for the tanks that were desperately retreating in reverse. He rushed to the front of the first tank and grabbed the tank's barrel, twisted it hard, and a crunching sound resounded as that straight barrel twisted 90 degrees. Afterward, Roy placed both hands under the tank's tracks and tightened his grip. The muscles in his arms bulged as he overturned the tank. Although it was just a light tank, it weighed at least 10 to 20 tons. Roy had only used the strength to turn it over from the side, but this strange strength shown under Bloodlust was still terrifying. The other tanks could not escape either. Roy either overturned them or froze them with his frost power. Upon seeing the black ice, the soldiers realized that this terrifying demon in front of them had supernatural powers as well as great strength. The soldiers fled in all directions. At this moment, it was Fat Tiger's turn to go on stage. Before they could escape far, Fat Tiger would catch up, knock them down, and drag them back with their clothes in his mouths. Roy had killed some of the 200-odd soldiers during the battle, and some of them were seriously injured. Only a few dozen managed to escape, and Fat Tiger caught them one after another. After gathering these people together, Roy found an officer among them. He was a captain, and Roy had a slight impression of him. He vaguely remembered that he had crawled out from an overturned tank. Roy looked down at the captain and said to him in the demon language, "I ask, you answer. Understand? What do you want to know?" The captain replied while trembling in fear. But Roy still understood. The demon language stemmed from the language of souls, allowing for communication between the souls of both parties, so it could be said to have no barriers in communication. "What year is it now?" Roy asked. "Where is it?" 1945. June 11, 1945. The captain replied. This place is Birmingham." "Huh?" Upon hearing this answer, Roy was stunned. He vaguely remembered that in World War II, the Germans had declared defeat and surrender in May 1945. Why is it now June and there are still German soldiers? Moreover, this place is Birmingham, a British city. In history, didn't the Germans fail to land on the British mainland and only carried out large-scale bombing raids? What happened? Could the history of this world have changed? What kind of parallel world is this? Chapter 87, Hellboy. With doubts in his mind, Roy asked again carefully. A living demon was right in front of him, and the captain could no longer think, so he answered whatever Roy asked. As expected, this world's Hitler had not been defeated by the Allies, and he was still resisting tenaciously. What was even more bizarre was that Roy learned from this captain that Hitler had formed a mysterious army. It was under the leadership of this mysterious army that the Germans had won the crucial Battle of Berlin and even managed to counterattack. From this soldier's mouth, this mysterious army had astounding combat strength and was fearless of death. Although many of the soldiers had not seen this army before, under the leadership of this mysterious army, they had won again and again. Now, the forces on the Western Front were even attacking the British mainland. Everything stemmed from that mysterious special army. Hearing this, Roy felt that he might have figured out where Caesar went after coming to this world. If he did not guess wrongly, this demon Caesar might have already hooked up Hitler. Caesar was an illusion demon. Although he had not shown much combat strength in his battle with Roy, it should not be forgotten that it was because Roy had created his Eyes of Nightmare in response to his illusion ability. He might be restrained in every way possible against Roy, but when it came to ordinary humans, this illusion ability was an absolute weapon. Moreover, Caesar himself was an upper-middle-rank demon. His demon blood could also create monsters when consumed by ordinary people. Roy suspected that the so-called mysterious army might be an illusion demon army created by Caesar. No wonder Caesar wanted to remain in this world. He had a connection with this world's greatest madman. With the help of Caesar's extraordinary power, Hitler could reignite the war all over Europe, and with the support of Hitler, Caesar could harvest an ending stream of souls in this world. Roy could not help but wonder which parallel world could summon demons through black magic during World War II. What Roy could think of were Hellboy and the Marvel worlds. But after thinking about it carefully, judging from the repulsive force of this world, Roy realized it might not be the Marvel world. In a high-energy plane like that, even if Roy did not sign a demon contract, he would still be able to stay for a long time, instead of just 1 month like now. In that case, it was most likely the Hellboy world. Of course, it could also be an unknown world to Roy. But in any case, Roy at least had an idea. To verify it, he only needed to see if there was a demon like Hellboy. After thinking about it, Roy looked at the remaining German soldiers. The 200-odd troops only had dozens left. All of them had panicked expressions. They were probably worried that Roy would kill them after the questioning. However, on the contrary, Roy did not intend to kill them but planned to let them go. This was what Roy was thinking. Although he had roughly guessed that Caesar might be collaborating with Hitler, Roy was unfamiliar with this world and would not be able to find Caesar even if he knew about it. Who knew if he would be hiding in Berlin or Hamburg? The memory crystal could no longer indicate the whereabouts of the Beloit and Pillar, so it was naturally impossible to determine where Caesar was. Therefore, Roy felt that he needed information. And if he did not guess wrongly, Hitler might be able to fool the low-level soldiers about the fact that he was getting help from a demon. But he might not necessarily be unable to conceal it from the upper echelons of the Allies. Perhaps they were also very anxious about it. If they were to know that a demon was chasing after the demon that was in cahoots with Hitler, then Roy believed that the Allies would be more than happy to provide information on the location of this demon. Even if they did not have it, they would probably find a way to obtain it, even if they had to sacrifice countless intelligence agents. This would undoubtedly save Roy a lot of time. Of course, it was impossible for Roy, a demon, to go to the Allied headquarters. If he really did so, he might be greeted with countless artillery fire before even reaching it. Therefore, the best way to transmit this news was with these German soldiers in front of him. This place was Birmingham, within British territory, and there should be many Allied soldiers here. If he let these soldiers leave, It would be very easy for the Allied forces to capture this group of defeated soldiers. At that time, the Allies could interrogate them and obtain the news. Therefore, Roy said to the captain and the other soldiers, "My name is Osiris. Demon from the Endless Abyss. A gate opened in your world, and a powerful demon escaped here. I am here to kill this traitor. I'm guessing that the so-called mysterious army of your leader was created by this demon. I will let you go now. But if you don't want your world to be destroyed, then you better spread this news and let me find this demon." After hearing Roy's words, the soldiers stared wide-eyed in disbelief. The Führer is actually getting help from a demon? How is this possible? No, no. Don't believe him. He's also a demon. What if it's all a lie and a scheme of the Allies? Roy could tell from the soldiers' eyes that they did not believe him. After all, he had the identity of a demon, so he did not plan to explain further. He just said, "Okay, you can go. But if you encounter me again, your souls will belong to me." Upon hearing Roy's words, the soldiers involuntarily shivered and scrambled away. Roy collected the souls of the deceased and heavily injured German soldiers. In the end, Roy obtained more than 140 souls. These souls were relatively large and had abundant soul power. This was naturally because they were terrified during their battle with Roy. From this, Roy discovered the situation where the more scientifically advanced a world was, the easier it was for ordinary humans to fear demons. It was because they rarely saw supernatural creatures. For some races in high magic worlds, the soul power of their souls might not necessarily increase because they had seen too many demons. Roy turned these 140+ souls into a magic energy growth potion. After consuming it, his magic energy attribute increased by over 100 points. Roy's magic energy attribute had now exceeded 600. Indeed, these other worlds were truly the best places for demons. Compared to the increasingly barren abyss, the other worlds had a lot of souls. Over the next 3 days, Roy waited in the village ruins. He practiced his frost magic power while waiting for the arrival of the Allies. He believed that the Allies would definitely find him. As expected, in the evening 3 days later, an army appeared, carefully approaching the village ruins. "Woof!" Fat Tiger growled at Roy, indicating that he smelled a familiar scent. It was the scent of the captain from 3 days ago. It seemed Roy had guessed right. The one leading this army was indeed the captain that Roy had released earlier. Moreover, it seemed like he was not captured by the Allies but had run to them to surrender himself, presumably because of what Roy had said at that time, which had made him very uneasy. As he neared the village, the captain refused to go inside and shouted loudly at the Allied officers in German. He probably still remembered what Roy said, fearing that Roy would take away his soul if he saw him again. Roy was sitting on a tall wall in the village ruins, watching this scene. After entering the village, the Allies also discovered Roy. There was a commotion in the entire army, and some of the soldiers held their guns anxiously, but their officers shouted at them to stop to make sure that they did not act rashly. Finally, a middle-aged man with disheveled hair and glasses walked over with a group of soldiers behind him. Are you Demon Osiris?" The middle-aged man wearing glasses asked carefully while looking at Roy in surprise. "Who are you?" Roy asked while looking down at him. "I am Professor Broom," the middle-aged man said. "Can we talk?" Roy grinned, but this grin was terrifying to the others. He did not say anything and pointed his finger at Professor Broom. The next second, Broom's body floated into the air and was dragged toward the tall wall by Roy's psychokinesis. The Allied officer and guards were so shocked that they nearly jumped and grabbed their guns in a flurry. However, even though Broom was flustered in mid-air, he was still quite calm. He quickly expressed that he was fine and told everyone not to worry. After pulling him onto the tall wall, Roy said, "Good. It seems like I can indeed communicate with you. Then, let me introduce myself again. I am Broom, Trevor Broom, consultant of the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense." Broom was a little excited. Are you really from Hell?" "We call it the Abyss," Roy said. "However, Hell and the Abyss are actually one and the same." Okay, the Abyss." Broom coughed and said, "Let me ask you, do you think all demons will look like you in the future?" "Why do you ask?" Roy asked in puzzlement. "Actually, the reason I mustered my courage to face you was because we obtained a demon before," Broom said. I brought him here this time. Because I don't know if you are his compatriot, I wanted to ask." "Oh? Where is he?" Roy asked. Broom quickly waved at the people below the tall wall. The Allied officers hesitated but still walked out of the village. From inside a tank's hull, they brought out a little demon. When he saw this little demon, Roy finally confirmed that this place was really the Hellboy world. At this time, Hellboy was merely a little demon with fiery red skin, immature demon horns, and a tail behind him. He was similar to most of the little demons born in the birthplaces. Even Roy had looked more or less like this. The little demon was very uneasy when he was carried out. He hastily climbed up the tall wall as soon as he saw Broom on it. He only noticed Roy after he climbed up. He was shocked, screamed, and shrank into his Broom's embrace. He could feel the strong aura from Roy and kept trembling. However, Roy was slightly disappointed. According to judging criteria of the Abyss, this so-called Hellboy was actually just a low-rank demon, without demon wings and with a mixed bloodline. If he stayed in this world after he grew up, he would never be able to refine his bloodline and obtain magic power. He would forever be a low-rank demon. Only these humans who did not understand the Abyss would think that Hellboy was very powerful. However, Roy could feel a power from this little demon, the power of a demon contract, so he asked Broom curiously, "You signed a demon contract with him?" "Huh? What is a demon contract?" Broom was confused. "Did you give him anything when he appeared?" Roy asked in a different way. I gave him some food," Broom replied. "That's right," Roy said. "The food you offered him was silently treated as an offering. When he accepted your offering, the contract was signed. It was just that you humans could not see it." Broom looked dumbfounded. I didn't know. At that time, I only thought that this little guy was pitiful and wanted to take care of him." Roy could not help but sigh in his heart. How did the situation of humans finding demons pitiful happen? What kind of brains resulted in such a situation? However, after hearing all of this, Roy understood why Hellboy could stay in this world for a long time. He and Broom had signed a contract without realizing it, and because Broom wanted to take care of this little demon, he had not set a contractual period. Thus, he tacitly agreed that the contract would continue indefinitely. This was why a little demon from the Abyss could keep growing up in this world. Chapter 88, Woman of the Eclipse. Alright, let's talk about proper business. Roy put aside the matter about Hellboy and said, "Since you're here, it means that you've received my message." "Yes, but to be honest, it was hard for us to believe," Broom said. "We felt that the captured German soldiers had mental problems. If not for this child's presence reminding us, we might not have believed it." Roy could understand this mentality. Although religion had always been talking about angels and demons, who would believe it without seeing it with their own eyes? Broom adjusted his glasses. "In addition, we have indeed received some intelligence over the years. There is evidence that Hitler joined an organization called the Thule Society in 1937. Most of its members are German aristocrats obsessed with the occult. In 1938, he obtained the Spear of Longinus. Holding this holy spear, he gained the support of a powerful force. From then on, the situation has been unfavorable. After starting the war, he has been able to sweep through all of Europe, but later on, he seems to have lost the holy spear. As for the exact details, we don't have accurate information. However, since then, the situation on the battlefield began to change. Initially, we didn't believe that this kind of black magic could affect the war, but a lot of evidence was reminding us that we needed to take it seriously," Broom said. "In 1943, we established the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense in response to these supernatural powers. In 1944, we destroyed the summoning ritual of the Thule Society. In that accident, Hitler's chief spiritual advisor, Grigory Rasputin, was also sucked into the gate of hell and died. We thought that after that, Hitler would no longer be able to borrow the power of black magic, but we didn't expect that he would have another mysterious special army in his hands. This situation is related to what you said, about the demon betraying the Abyss?" "That's what I wanted to talk about," Roy said. "I don't know exactly what that mysterious army is, but there's a high chance that it was created with the help of that traitor. He stole something belonging to a demon lord in the Abyss and wants to remain in this world forever. If he succeeds, then a demon will settle down here in your world." "Are demons unable to exist in this world?" Broom asked curiously. "No. Demons are beings from another world after all. They will be rejected by your world, so they can't be here forever. But at the same time, there's also a way for demons to stay. That is through demon contracts." Roy discovered that Professor Broom did not seem to know much about demons, so he could only patiently explain it to him so that he would realize the seriousness of the matter. "Are you saying that that demon might use a demon contract to stay?" Broom asked. "It may be even more serious," Roy said. "There is a way to break demon contracts. That is to kill the person who signed the contract with him so that the demon contract will become invalid. This way, he will be expelled. This is a very obvious weakness. I feel that with Caesar's cunningness, he can't leave such a loophole for himself." There was one more thing that Roy did not say. Caesar had even abandoned his body, so it was obvious that he wanted to stake everything on this. Roy did not know if he could sign a contract in his soul state, but he was certain of one thing, that Caesar wanted to rebuild his body in this world. Perhaps it was Roy's words that reminded Broom. Broom suddenly said excitedly, "I remember that some time ago, we discovered that the German army was collecting information on the existing population in their occupied territory and that most of those people were born in 1917. Could this situation be related to what you said?" "People born in 1917? Roy was slightly puzzled. "Is there anything special about this time?" "I don't know, but we can investigate." Broom said, "We only hope that after we find that demon, you can help us kill it." "This is my mission to begin with." Roy nodded. "Now that the deal is completed, use your intelligence to help me find the demon, and I will kill him and help you resolve this problem." "Deal." Broom nodded as well. After the conversation, Roy used psychokinesis to send Broom off the tall wall and then said, "I will stay here for this period of time. You have to hurry because I can only stay in this world for 26 days. If you can't find Caesar in this time, then I'll have to find someone to sign a demon contract with me." The Allied officers below looked at each other, and then an officer boldly asked Roy, "What will I have to pay if I sign a demon contract with you?" Roy grinned at him with a sinister expression. "Soul." When the officer heard that, he couldn't help shivering and didn't dare to say anything else. Roy was guarding against the thoughts that these Allied forces should not have. Hitler thought of using the power of black magic to win the war, so would the Allies not have such thoughts? Don't forget, Roy was a demon. The Allied scientists should want to cut up this being from the abyss for research, right? Roy did not want to end up like this. He did not have any thoughts about helping the Allies win the war and only wanted to complete this mission. After all, it had been dragged out long enough. After Broom and the others left, Roy stayed in the village ruins. There were Allied troops stationed in the periphery, but none of them dared to approach this place. This was because the matter of Roy destroying a small unit of the German army had spread to the Allies through the mouths of the captives. This made them deeply aware that they were not facing an ordinary supernatural creature but a demon with powerful combat strength. Only angels could kill demons, but the Allies clearly did not know where to find angels, so they could only maintain a peaceful state with Roy. Of course, this was also because Roy could communicate and allowed them to do this. Had it been those demons who only knew how to advocate violence and had a one-track mind about completing the execution mission, they would have likely already been killed by both the Allied and German armies. The Allies moved quick. A week later, the first information came. They finally figured out the special meaning of 1917. The person who came was still Broom. He told Roy that there had been a solar eclipse in 1917, and it was a total solar eclipse. What the German army was searching for was a female who was born during the solar eclipse in 1917. Even Roy was stunned when he heard this. He suddenly remembered how Caesar had given up his body so readily. Could he have had a child with a woman born during the eclipse? For a moment, Roy's imagination ran wild. His mind was filled with plots such as reincarnation in someone else's body. Thinking back to how Caesar happened to return after the courtship period of the Abyss demons, Roy felt that it was more and more likely. However, was it possible for demons and humans to have children? The genes of demons were very powerful. In the Abyss, demons and all kinds of other species could mate. If the mating succeeded, it would be the same as with the dragons. However, would such powerful genes still be effective after crossing worlds? Roy felt that it was a little unlikely. If that were the case, these other worlds would have been full of demons long ago. Combined with the fact that the German army was searching for a woman born during the solar eclipse, Roy felt that there might be something special about the woman born at this time, which was why Caesar chose her. This would explain the situation. Perhaps the children of humans and demons would be recognized by a world and could remain forever in that world. Caesar abandoned his original body in order to occupy this half-human half-demon body. This way, not only could he remain in this world without a demon contract, but he could also use his original magic power to become a real demon in this world. What the FCK? This Caesar is really something else. Just his intelligence in planning alone can be considered outstanding among demons. Chapter 89, Going Straight Through. After making a rough guess of Caesar's motive, Roy immediately understood why Demon Lord Rogeros had him continue carrying out the execution mission. Logically speaking, even though he had sensed the below 10 pillar, which had lost its functionality, had reactivated and came over to take a look out of curiosity, he actually did not have to expend a large amount of magic power to forcefully locate Caesar's position and open the gate of the abyss. Roy had thought that this might have been because Rogeros was vengeful and could not tolerate any betrayal, so he was determined to kill Caesar. But in fact, after hearing Roy's story, he had probably realized what Caesar wanted to do. After all, the Demon Lord was a Demon Lord. These Demon Lords had lived in the abyss for countless years and had seen many things. Any action was enough to make them think of the possible subsequent consequences. Caesar might have thought that he had hidden the truth from everyone, but he did not know that Rogeros had instantly guessed his intentions. Roy could not help but wag his tail slightly and start thinking. From the looks of it, I'm afraid that aside from punishing the betrayal, the bigger reason why Rogeros wants me to continue hunting down Caesar is to prevent this transformation. Roy thought. In other words, he doesn't want to see Caesar become a half-human half-demon. What is the reason? This was what Roy did not understand the most. Demons are cruel and bloodthirsty, and they often have destructive thoughts. If there's a half-human half-demon that can be accommodated by another world and won't be repulsed, then it might really be possible to destroy or dominate this world. Demons should be happy to see this, but why does Rogeros want to stop it? Is he worried that Caesar will threaten his position after he grows up? Or is it because he's jealous of Caesar and doesn't want to see him wantonly plundering souls in this world? Or perhaps there are other reasons? Roy only felt that he could not understand. He currently knew too little information, and he had not reached the level of a demon lord. He had no way of knowing what the considerations of these demon rulers were. However, it did not matter if he did not understand. Roy only needed to complete his mission and then see if he could obtain any benefits in this world. After all, he could not make a wasted trip here. A few days later, just as Roy was feeling bored, the good news finally came. The intelligence personnel of the Allies had confirmed the location of the Thule Society's headquarters. It might be easy to say, but in reality, the Allies had sacrificed countless intelligence personnel for this piece of information. At a time when science was flourishing, the upper echelons of the Allies were unwilling to believe in such ridiculous-sounding occultisms. But it was obvious that since Roy, a true demon, appeared, they could only believe it even if they did not want to. Furthermore, they had already had enough of this damned war. Now that an opportunity that could turn them into victors had appeared, how could they not vigorously investigate? After confirming the location of the Thule Society's headquarters, the next step was the assault. Therefore, apart from Professor Broom, there was also a special force of about 50 people in front of Roy. This special force was chosen from all the Allied troops. They were all smart, brave, and capable elite soldiers. As the German army had the advantage now, it was not easy for them to attack the Thule Society's headquarters on a large scale, and they could only use this kind of special operations to infiltrate secretly. This special force was led by a colonel. Before coming, they were unsure what the mission exactly was, so when they saw Roy, their jaws dropped. A few frightened soldiers almost shot Roy, but at the crucial moment, Broom stopped them and introduced Roy to them. When they heard that their mission actually involved taking action with a demon, everyone gasped. They kept drawing crosses over their faces and chests. Some people even muttered, "Damn it, are the Allies planning to fight against God? Don't tell me that the little mustached man is the righteous one." Of course, Roy heard this. He could not help but sneer and mock the soldiers. Yes, when you are at war, cities collapsed, and your homes were destroyed, God sent a demon to save you. As a demon, Roy was used to the hostile attitudes of the various races against him, but he still disliked these people who claimed to be righteous. No one was on the righteous side of a war. They only had different positions. Even if there were no demons instigating them, humans were always at war. They would throw everything to justice and evil and dump everything on demons. As a demon, Roy did not want to take the blame. These soldiers choked on their words, unable to say anything. They were extremely embarrassed. Yes, many soldiers were pious, but why had no angels come to save the world in this darkest and cruelest era? Fortunately, Broom, this good old man, came out to smooth things over. Although he did not have much combat power, as a supernatural consultant, he had to participate in this operation and could also play the role of mediating. Roy could have killed his way into the Thule Society's headquarters and completed his execution mission alone. However, Considering how Caesar had been operating in this world for a long time, Roy was worried that he would use the German army's power to create traps for him after he discovered him. Although most human artillery fire could no longer cause any harm to Roy at this stage, who could guarantee that the Thule Society's headquarters would not have thousands of kilograms of explosives buried that would detonate as soon as he appeared? Roy probably could not withstand such a powerful explosion. Therefore, it was still beneficial for Roy to have these Allied soldiers following along, and he did not reject them. The operation soon began. These Allied soldiers took a military transport plane and would then parachute down. Roy and Fat Tiger had wings, so they did not join in the fun. They only followed the plane in the sky. With Roy's flying speed, he could keep up with the transport plane. The Thule Society's headquarters was in Poland, which the German army occupied. This raid was very risky, so the Allies even planned a large-scale counterattack in an attempt to attract the German army's attention and prevent them from paying attention to this raid. The operation was carried out at night. The transport plane flew across the Polish border and then dropped the Allied soldiers from the sky. The operation team would then march a distance into Poland on foot. Along the way, there would be many German outposts. The operation team planned to avoid them as much as possible to reduce the number of battles. However, Roy shook his head when he heard this plan. This is too slow. There were advantages and disadvantages to having these Allied soldiers. The disadvantage was that Roy had to wait for them, which was far less convenient than moving on his own, so he decided to change the operation team's plan. Let's go straight through. Roy's claws gently tapped the map, easily poking a hole in the rock under the map. Leave the battles along the way to me. All you have to do is to keep up, and it doesn't matter if we're exposed. Before the German army and the Thule Society react, we just have to rush to our destination. The Allied soldiers of the operation team looked at each other. No one had communicated with Roy on the way here, so they had no idea how strong this demon was. Roy did not give them a chance to question him. He flew into the air with Fat Tiger and rushed toward the first outpost along the way. The operation team had no choice but to hurry and follow. Of course, their speed was much slower than Roy's. Before they got close, they heard the sound of explosions and the terrified shouts of German soldiers. When the operation team soldiers arrived at the outpost, they found that the battle had already ended. The entire outpost was full of the corpses of German soldiers, and raging flames were ablaze on the buildings. The only one standing at the scene was this demon named Osiris. When they saw this scene, they could not help but take a deep breath. This was a border outpost with more than 100 soldiers. How was it slaughtered in just 10 minutes? For the first time, these soldiers looked at the guns in their hands, and they were no longer so confident in the combat strength of humans. After storing all the souls floating in this area, Roy pointed at the vehicles that he had deliberately left behind. Those are for you. Get on them and follow me closely. Thus, less than half an hour after the battle ended, the operation team set off again under Roy's leadership. As Roy had said, he was not afraid of being exposed. Anyway, he just had to rush to the Thule Society's headquarters and kill Caesar before reinforcements from the German army arrived. However, what he did not know was that Professor Broom, who had been following the operation team, was recording Roy's battle situations along the way. It could be said that the people of this world had truly come into contact with creatures such as abyss demons. Thus, the necessary records were required. After charging through in a straight line, their advancing speed was naturally much faster. However, they still encountered 7 or 8 outposts of various sizes along the way. Among these outposts, there were at least dozens of people to more than 100 people. Roy felt that the closer he got to the Thule Society's headquarters, the denser the outposts became. It seemed that these German troops were sent to protect the Thule Society. However, although there were many outposts, there were no heavy weapons. With Roy's combat strength, he could handle them all, and he obtained hundreds of souls from this. At around 4 o'clock in the morning, Roy and the rest finally arrived at the Thule Society's headquarters. Chapter 90, Not as Good as You Think. The Thule Society's headquarters was a massive European-style manor. In the surrounding open area, there were several machine guns behind piled-up sandbags. These machine guns covered the front door of the manor, making it easy to defend and difficult to attack. At this moment, perhaps the German troops here had already received the news, and they appeared very nervous. Even at 4 o'clock in the morning, they were still on high alert. The searchlights on the roof of the manor were sweeping the surroundings back and forth, and many German officers dressed in SS uniforms were loudly commanding the soldiers to increase their fortifications. According to the intelligence the Allies obtained, The Thiel Society's headquarters was underground, and this manor had a passage for escape, so after splitting up some people to guard the exit of this passage, the remaining people followed Roy and attacked the manor. Almost instantly, the sounds of gunshots and explosions rang out. The defensive power of the German troops guarding this manor was formidable, but the Allies had a Gundam. Roy led Fat Tiger and charged toward the defensive points around the manor. When the German soldiers saw Roy's demonic appearance, they broke down almost instantly. Since they were guarding this place, they certainly knew what they were protecting. Black magic and dark creatures were no stranger to them. In their impression, the Thiel Society's existence was for summoning supernatural creatures, mysterious and powerful. However, a supernatural creature was attacking them, so the German troops quickly lost their will to fight. Under Roy's lead, the defensive fortifications did not cause too much trouble for the operation team. Before long, they entered the manor. After entering the manor, a few people wearing black robes and cloaks appeared. Needless to say, these people were the believers of the Thiel Society. "Damned sinners, the God of Darkness will punish you." The believers of the Thiel Society were full of anger as they shouted at the Allied soldiers. "Sorry, the God of Darkness is on our side now." The operation team soldiers grinned and pulled the triggers. The submachine gun's bullets entered the bodies of these believers, but something strange happened. These people were not killed. Instead, they were fine, as though they had never been injured. The bullets seemed to have passed through their bodies. "What's going on?" The operation team soldiers were shocked, but before they could figure out what was going on, the believers took out their guns from under their robes and started fighting back. On the stairs and in the corridor, there was so much gunfire that the operation team could not even lift their heads. They tried to attack, but without exception, none of them could kill these people. Just as everyone was at a loss, a strange force suddenly struck. The floor of the manor was rolled up by this force, as though a powerful shockwave was raging through, and debris flew all over the manor. The believers of the Thiel Society who were attacking the operation team were swept up and sent flying by this force. Then they crashed onto the ground amid screams, half dead. The lights in the manor also extinguished. In the darkness, a pair of shiny blood-red eyes appeared. People could vaguely see his tall figure in the shadow of the demon wings behind him. Upon seeing this, everyone, including the operation team, could not help but gulp. They only felt an unprecedented sense of fear spread throughout their bodies. For collecting souls, Roy followed the operation team into the manor. As soon as he entered, he saw the believers of the Thiel Society suppressing the operation team, so he had no choice but to help. He discovered that the believers of the Thiel Society had the ability to use simple illusions. It was precisely because of this that the bullets shot by the operation team could not kill the enemies. What they hit was merely illusions. Roy could not be bothered to solve them one by one, so he simply used psychokinesis to turn the tables. With the increase of his magic power, Roy's psychokinesis had become more and more powerful. Turning psychokinesis into a powerful kinetic energy impact, Roy instantly blew up the manor's hall. Roy reached out his hand and grabbed a believer from the mess. He held him in his hand and let Fat Tiger smell him. Sure enough, Fat Tiger smelled the same smell as the illusion demon Caesar on this believer. From the looks of it, Caesar had indeed used some of his demon blood to help the Thiel Society develop its believers. Demon blood contained special powers that could cause ordinary humans to have unknown transformations. Dracula, the vampire Roy saw before, was an undead creature transformed by demon blood. However, Caesar's demon blood seemed to have a different effect. After receiving his demon blood, these believers of the Thiel Society obtained a simple illusion ability, but they did not seem to have obtained anything like eternal life. After ripping off the other party's robe with his claws, Roy saw a large area of festering and thick boils on the believer. Indeed, the demon blood had a price. At this moment, the members of the operation team had already turned on their flashlights. Under the light, the believer being held in Roy's hands saw Roy's appearance clearly, and he said in disbelief, "God of Darkness? Why are you helping these heretics?" Roy could not be bothered with him. These so-called believers of the Thiel Society were just some fanatical demon worshippers. In fact, such people existed in every world. They were just some people who had dark minds and had been brainwashed. He casually tossed the believer to the people of the operation team, who was currently shooting these believers. They continued forward until they reached the garden behind the manor. A soldier of the operation team found the underground entrance, and they carefully entered the underground tunnel. Roy followed behind and entered the headquarters. They found a huge iron door underground. There were some strange words and pictures of demons carved on it. Because it was underground, the operation team did not dare to blow it up to enter, so they could only look at Roy. Roy walked over and pulled the metal door with both hands, tearing it out. After entering, they discovered that this place did not look like the place of an evil cult but like a huge laboratory. At this time, many people were already lying in pools of blood in the laboratory. From the looks of their clothes, these dead people should have been the scientists of the laboratory. At the end of the laboratory, there was a huge glass culture tank with thick tubes connected to it. In the culture tank, a giant monster was soaking in a green liquid. This monster was about 2 meters tall and looked human, but its body was covered with long fur, had fangs in its mouth, and a pair of long horns on its forehead. A bald man was kneeling in front of the culture tank, and his hands were covered with blood. When the operation team entered, the bald man turned around and smiled smugly at the Allied soldiers. "Unfortunately, you're too late. Lord Caesar's soul has already fused with this body." The operation team soldiers held their guns and looked at each other, not knowing what to do in this situation. The monster in the culture tank was obviously a terrifying demon, so they could only look at Roy, who was coming in from behind. "Fused?" Roy walked in and looked at Caesar in the culture tank with great interest. "This is the half-human half-demon body he created?" "Yes." The bald man was stunned when he saw Roy, and then he nodded. "You're the one who Lord Caesar talked about, Lord Osiris, right? Since you and Lord Caesar are both demons, why can't you join forces? If the two of you work together, you can easily rule the entire world." Roy did not answer him but instead asked, "Are you Caesar's contractor? You summoned Caesar to this world?" "Yes, but the contract has been removed," the bald man said. "With this demon-human body, Lord Caesar no longer needs the contract to maintain his existence in this world." Roy walked toward the culture tank and stood in front of it. He carefully looked at Caesar's demon-human body and then knocked on the glass of the culture tank. "Caesar, don't pretend to be dead. I know you've completed the fusion." With Roy's words, Caesar suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Roy with a hateful gaze. He had a ventilator in his mouth, so he could speak, and he said to Roy in a muffled voice, "What advantages did Rogeros give you that you're working so hard to kill me?" "Advantages? I don't know, but if I don't kill you, I'll be in trouble," Roy said. "As for you, what's so great about this half-human half-demon body of yours that it's worth your effort?" "Humph, you ignorant fellow. How could you know the value of a half-human half-demon body?" Caesar said. "Why don't you tell me? I don't mind listening to the story," Roy said. "All right. Since you're already here, I'll tell you," Caesar said. "Do you know that in the Abyss, half-human half-demons have always had the title of the Children of Taboo?" "No," Roy said honestly. "This is the first time I've heard of it." "There are many reasons why they're called taboo," Caesar said. "The body of a demon will be repulsed by the power of a world, but a demon-human body can come and go between the human worlds and the Abyss without any hindrance. Moreover, a demon-human body possesses the power of a demon, but it has the possibility of surpassing the bloodline of the demon. For millions of years, the Abyss has produced many demon-humans, and all of them have been incomparably powerful without exception. However, in history, the demon-humans born have often gone to the opposite side of the demons due to the influence of their human nature, and, in turn, use their demon power to kill demons. Therefore, many times, although demons know that demon-human bodies are very convenient and powerful, unless absolutely essential, it is impossible to create one without the permission of high-level demons. And for the demon-humans who have gone to the other side, they will be hunted down and killed. This is the origin of the so-called taboo." "That's it?" Roy asked in confusion. "You're an upper-middle rank demon and about to become a high-rank demon. Can a high-rank demon not compare to this demon-human body? It's not like that. Don't you understand the benefits of being able to remain in a world forever? All the souls will be yours, and you won't need to compete with other demons." Caesar was excited. "In this world, there won't be any higher-level demons to order you around, and you can dominate the entire world." Roy shook his head. "That's not enough, because the premise is that you can obtain these souls. Let's not talk about execution demons like me. Do you think those angels will tolerate the existence of a demon-human body with a demon soul that exists forever in a world?" Roy did not say a word about how he could not underestimate the humans of this world. Perhaps they did not have magic power or powerful bodies, but they possessed the power of science. Even if artillery could not kill demons, then what about missiles? Nuclear bombs? Did he really think that it was so simple to dominate and rule an entire world? In that case, Why couldn't those demon humans do it before? Also, since you've said that demon human bodies are so powerful, why don't I feel any traces of magic power on this body of yours? Roy pointed at Caesar's body through the glass. Or is it that your newly born demon human body also needs to devour souls to increase your magic power? Let me guess. You must have prepared a large number of souls here so that you can immediately replenish your magic power as soon as you complete the transformation. Am I right? Upon hearing this, Caesar's expression finally changed, and he shouted, What do you want to do?" Roy ignored him and asked loudly, "Fat Tiger, have you found it?" "Aww! Woo! Woof!" With Fat Tiger's cheerful cries, Roy knew that he had guessed right.